And welcome Dr. Varadraj Baapat, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Seema Dange ma'am. I am grateful to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, who has conducted the 14th online faculty
मैम
induction.
आपका आवाज नहीं आया, थोड़ा आवाज साउंड साउंड कम आ रहा है मैम.
Okay. I'm increasing the volume. What is
Yes, बोलिए.
yes. I am grateful to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, who has conducted the 14th online faculty induction program and give me an opportunity to read biodata of today's resource person, Dr. Varadraj B. Baapat. I am Dr. Uzma Khadri, Assistant Professor from Dr. Rafiq Zakaria Center for Higher Learning and Advanced Research, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. It is my privilege to speak aloud and concise a lot of information in few words. Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. Professor Dr. Varadraj Baapat has his master's in commerce from University of Pune, and a doctorate in accounting and finance from Mehta School of Management, IIT Bombay. He has vast teaching interest area among financial accounting, management accounting, Indian accounting, and business model. He has giant interest in research areas like financing accounting, financial inclusion, bankruptcy, prediction, corporate governance, portfolio management, and spirituality. He has been achieved networthly secured 74th rank in All India rank in Chartered Accountant Intermediate examination held in November 1993. He has get possession of 22nd All India rank in Chartered Accountant final examination held in May 1995. His teaching and experience include as a vice principal oblique lecture from 1996 to 2007. It is of about 11 years in S.K. Somiya College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Vidya Vihar, Mumbai. After that, he served 1 year more in National Institute of Industrial Engineering, Mumbai as a faculty. Now he has a faculty in accounting and finance in Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai from July 2008 to till today. He has author of many textbooks and have a research project on topic financial inclusion, status and its impact on human development, a special focus on Northeast India. He has 21 research publications. In academic year, he served as a joint in academic service. He served as a mm, joint editorship for General and also reviewer of General related to business perspective and research. He has 6 research students, in which 1 completed, 2 is submitting, and 3 are ongoing. He has conducted various cooperative training programs, MDPs for several leading companies, government organizations, NGOs. In this topic, he includes financial and non-financial economy, health and wealth, career guidance, and about Swami Vivekanand and more, etc. He also deliver informative videos on Indian economic model at IIT Mumbai and on DD Sahyadri named as Jan Dhan Yojana in 1915. Apart from above, he has his keen interest in educational, social activities, Sanskrit, yoga, and spirituality. Sir, I welcome you from this English Sanskrit word, bhavatah atyantam swagatam asti. Please, sir, start.
Namaste. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes,
Great.
sir. Yes, sir.
Great. Thanks for introduction. The topic which is given to me today is related to IKS. We know that in the national education policy, there is a lot of emphasis on IKS. So we'll start with discussion on IKS. My major area of work is related to finance, commerce, economics, etc. So I would like to discuss more in detail about those aspects of IKS. There are several PPTs. I normally cover it through about 15 hours course. I'll try to discuss it, and I'm sure with professors and researchers like you would be able to grasp very fast. But feel free to ask questions or stop me in between as well. So yeah, I'm just sharing my PPT here. So is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
और ये आगे जा रहा है क्या, एक बार देख लीजिए. Is it moving?
Yes, sir. it is
Yes,
moving.
sir. Yes, sir.
It's coming, right? Good. So we'll discuss about IKS, as I said initially in the first PPT. Already I have been introduced, so I'll go ahead. So we know that we all live in Bharat. Now, what is the meaning of the term Bharat? What do you understand by Bharat? You can take a guess, or you can even tell whatever you know about how this name derived or what does it mean.
सर भरत राजा थे, उनके से नाम भारत हुआ है, जो एशिया का एक कंट्री भी है.
वेरी गुड. मुझे नाम नहीं पता चल रहा है, बट 88 नंबर हैज आंसर्ड वेरी वेल.
थैंक यू
एक
सर.
है कि फ्रॉम दैट स्टोरी, बट हो सकता है एक्चुअली कि राजा का नाम भी से बहुत पहले हमारे देश का नाम होगा प्रोबेबली. सो व्हाट इज द मीनिंग? एनीवन वांट्स टू गेस? बिकॉज वी नो दैट इंडिया जो नाम है वो वेस्टर्न लोगों ने हमें दिया है. इट हैज डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम
भारत.
इंडिका. दैट इज ऑल्सो विथ लॉट ऑफ ऑनर अबाउट आवर कंट्री. वो कोई डिग्रेडेशन नहीं है. बट एनीवे, आवर ओन नेम इज भारत. इट हैज टू कंपोनेंट्स. मैं आपको हिंट देता हूं. वन इज भा, अदर इज रथ. सो नाउ कैन यू गेस इसका क्या मीनिंग होता है? व्हाट इज भा एंड व्हाट इज रथ?
सर, ये प्रकाश से भरा हुआ ऐसे हो सकता है, अगर भारत ऐसे हो सकता है.
या वेरी गुड आंसर. कपाल भाती कई लोगों ने सुना होगा, कई लोग करते भी होंगे. सो भा रिफर्स टू लाइट. एक तो फिजिकली लाइट बोल सकते हैं या नॉलेज बोल सकते हैं. एंड व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय रथ?
म्हणजे एखाद्या गोष्टीमध्ये मग्न असणारा, असं म्हणू शकतो आपण.
करेक्ट. रथ नाही, रथ वेगळा असतो. रथ म्हणजे आपण एंगेज्ड आहोत. वी लाईक समथिंग. आपण कशात तरी मग्न आहोत, ऍज मॅडम हॅज राईटली. व्हॉट्स युअर गुड नेम मॅम?
आय एम डॉक्टर सीमा ढगे सर.
ओके. सीमा ढगे जी यांनी खूप छान उत्तर दिलेले आहेत दोन्ही. So Bha refers to light, and we are a nation which is always engaged in knowledge creation and dissemination. And we have been doing it for thousands of years. We were rather world leaders. In between, during the period of invasion, somewhere we lost in that. नॉलेज क्रिएशन भी कम हो गया. जब नॉलेज क्रिएशन कम हो गया, फॉरेन स्टूडेंट्स हमारे पास आते थे, वो आना बंद हो गया. एंड इंस्टेड ऑफ नॉलेज गिवर्स, वी वेर फोर्स्ड टू बी relying on other people's knowledge or on wrong knowledge. And this is one of the important mottos of our Gyan Parampara, Bharatiya Jnana Parampara, that is Anu Bhadraha Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. Yeah, what it could mean? कोई guess ले रहा है?
Going towards light, sir. From darkness to light.
Okay, good guess, but थोड़ा सा अलग अर्थ है. कोई guess लेना चाहता है?
सर मुझे इसका एग्जैक्ट मीनिंग पता नहीं, लेकिन ऐसा लग रहा है कि शुभ जो हो रहा है वो हमें विश्व में लाना है, ऐसा कुछ मीनिंग इसका.
एक
भद्र मतलब
कंपोनेंट यू कैन टेल. शुभ कौन सा शब्द आपको लगा?
भद्र,
शुभ.
भद्र म्हणजे शुभ असं वाटतं.
करेक्ट. भद्र मीन्स कल्याणकारक और शुभ. विश्व, everyone knows, the whole world. What is Anu?
शुभकारक, कल्याणकारकता आणण्यासाठी.
अनु का जो हिंदी में अर्थ है वही है. अनु मीन्स आने दो. Let good thoughts, noble thoughts come to us from everywhere in the world. This is a part of Rigveda Samhita. So we know that Rigveda is the oldest literature any human being has created. So I have picked up, of course, we can have several shlokas like that, but this can be considered as a kind of motto of our Bharatiya Gyan Parampara or Indian knowledge system, if we translate it, because we are always open for knowledge from everywhere. So there are some, now that NEP has introduced IKS, there is a lot of discussion कि IKS कैसे पढ़ना चाहिए, क्या पढ़ाना चाहिए, क्यों पढ़ाना चाहिए, etc. So these are some of the features of IKS. We know that this is one of the oldest tradition. Ours is one of the oldest cultures. And what is even more important, that it is a continuous tradition. So there was a Greek culture, there was Roman culture, which was completely destroyed. You might have heard of Egyptian or Babylonian cultures and so on, but they are completely destroyed, and the current population do not have any relevance or any continuity with it. But in case of Bharat, we see a very long tradition of continuity. Even if you see old archives, etc., we'll come to it later. We know that same type of bangles, same types of dance forms, same types of postures, exactly we use even today. So we have a very long tradition of continuous tradition. Nextly, our ancestors were extremely particular about scientific basis. So everything was thought after, and only what was proved was accepted and included in our knowledge tradition. Then ours is an evergreen tradition. We are not, and it's an inclusive tradition. So we are not exclusivist. We don't say कि ये कुछ जो लिखा गया है वही final है. We are always open to new thoughts. So it's continuously updated. Whatever new knowledge gets created, suppose new research happens, new scientific research happens, we have been continuously adapting our systems to it. So it has remained evergreen. And learning and teaching IKS is we are trying to reclaim our own heritage. But remember, it's not for ourselves, because our Rishis, our knowledge creators never said that this knowledge is only for us. Knowledge was always meant for whole of humanity. So we are reclaiming our knowledge, but essentially give it back to humanity, because we have ourselves forgotten at least some part of our knowledge. There are also several myths about our knowledge systems. So first one, that it is all mythology, because foreigners, particularly British, use this term mythology for our ancient history. So everything what our scriptures have, they said that it is all myths, but that's not at all true. We do see a significant amount of physical presence of those items, but more than physical, we do have so many scriptures which definitely prove that it's not a mythology. Second, some people try to argue that it is religious, but we know that our view of dharma was very, very wide. So it is not related to any particular religion. Then it is not at all unscientific. In fact, it has got a lot of scientific part. So I don't think I have to go through everything. And we are not trying to glorify our past. Definitely our past was great and is really glorious. But as I said in the earlier slide, the effort is to reinvent our own knowledge. And that is to give it back to the society, give it back to the humanity. I'll take a few examples more from science because then it will become more evident to everybody. So most of you would be knowing about turmeric and haldi and its uses, etc. But are you aware about patent on haldi? Is there any patent on turmeric?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you add anything? Can we use haldi ki wo patented item hai?
Everybody can use the haldi, but somebody has tried to get the patent of turmeric. I think it's America.
Correct.
Yes,
Seema
sir,
ji, right?
it's American.
So your name is Seema, right? So
Yes.
Seema ji has again given a good hints. Yeah, anyone wants to add? I think 84 जो sir है कुछ add कर रहे हैं. Yeah, you can add something if you know.
The patent of Basmati, sir.
Basmati will come to later, but as of now about haldi,
Yes, sir. America has tried to take the patent of haldi.
हाँ तो currently patent है कि नहीं? Can we use haldi or we have to pay royalty?
No, sir. I think it is not
Sir,
patented.
yes, the Indian government has successfully challenged it, sir.
Very true. But the patent was granted and it has now been revoked. So it was successfully challenged and it's revoked, right? You're right. So yeah, in which year this patent was taken? And when was it revoked? Why was it revoked? कोई idea है किसको?
सर जहाँ पे मैंने पढ़ा था 1992 या 1993 में ये हुआ था शायद फाइल हुआ था.
ओके, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. और कैसे फाइट हुआ वो कुछ याद है?
नहीं सर.
So we all know that turmeric is used both for external uses जैसे वुंड हीलिंग, रैशेस के लिए. इसीलिए लग्न विवाह के पहले दिन हल्दी होती है so that the skin should improve. In fact, every day we should use haldi and we also take it with milk or also as our spice क्योंकि internal use के लिए भी अच्छा है. I think everyone is aware of uses of haldi. But in 95, an American patent was granted on wound healing properties of turmeric. अगर वो पेटेंट वैसे ही रहता तो we could not have used haldi for commercial use. Of course, we can apply it on our face. उसको तो रोक नहीं पाएंगे, but we can't sell it to others or no company can use haldi in their any of the, suppose they want to use it for any cream or something, it would have stopped. और सबको रॉयल्टी देनी पड़ती अमेरिकन कंपनी को, अपनी ही हल्दी, अपना ही इन्वेंशन. बट उन्होंने पहला पेटेंट लिया बिफोर एनी इंडियन कंपनी हैज टेकन इट. बट इंडियन गवर्नमेंट, particularly CSIR, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, they have filed a re-examination for it, and US PTO जो होता है, US Patent Office, they have revoked the patent in 1997, and they accepted that this is not a new invention and this knowledge is known in India for several centuries. ये कैसे हुआ? पहले ही लाइन में वहां लिखा है कि 1953 में एक जर्नल ऑफ इंडियन मेडिकल एसोसिएशन में वन आर्टिकल वाज पब्लिश्ड about use of haldi and its properties. And of course, there are thousands of Sanskrit texts which tell about haldi. That is why this patent was revoked within 2 years. देखो, जस्ट ये बोलना कि हम लोग तो रोज हल्दी वापरते हैं, crores of people उनके शादी के पहले दिन हल्दी करते हैं, that's not enough. We always need a proof. It should be published. It should be there in the public domain, preferably in a high quality journal. In case में this happened. That is why within 2 years, this patent was revoked. Similarly, there was a patent on neem. I think neem also all of you are aware. So is that this patent also continues? Anyone knows about patent on neem?
No, sir.
Again, neem also we know that it has antifungal properties. External use, it also gives a relief from malaria and such things. In fact, haldi के पहले 94 में, in this case, European Patent Office had given a patent to one of the American companies, and this was really very difficult to fight because there was no clear-cut journal publication. But many farmers, NGOs fought for that patent, and EPO revoked that patent initially after giving lot of proofs in year 2000. But the company challenged that revocation, and finally in 2006, EPO rejected the company's application and revocation was confirmed. So you can understand 12 years fight, 94 say 2006, taking from our ancient texts and proving them that this is an ancient knowledge, because there was no journal as such. I am just giving an example कि publication कितना important है. If it is a scientific domain, patent is important, or at least there should be a publication. Otherwise, our knowledge can be stolen by anybody. Yeah, sir, आप कुछ बासमती के पेटेंट पे ऐड करना चाहते हैं तो you can add, because I am not aware of it. ओके, 84 जो है उन्होंने ऐसे कुछ बोला था.
हाँ सर, जो बासमती का पेटेंट है वो इंडिया ने जीता है.
ओके, इंडिया ने ही फाइल किया है.
हाँ.
देन इट्स फाइन, क्योंकि अपना ही नॉलेज है. बट कोई फॉरेन कंट्री अगर पेटेंट लेती है और हम ही अपना प्रोडक्ट यूज नहीं कर पाते हैं, देन यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड हाउ डेंजरस इट इज. Anyway, we will go ahead. So in our knowledge system, there is a lot of knowledge and it has been tested and verified and improved for thousands of years. The basis is well-being of all. So मैंने यहाँ पे कुछ श्लोक लिखे हैं, जैसा हमने शुरू में आनो भद्राः देखा. यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः. What is the meaning? Anyone would like to tell?
सब लोग सुखी रहे, निरामय मतलब
रोग
सब लोग
मुक्त रहे.
सभी सुखी रहे, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, और
सबका
सब
आरोग्य
लोग
अच्छा
रोग
रहे.
मुक्त रहे.
करेक्ट. निरामय यानी रोग मुक्त रहे, हेल्दी रहे. सो हमारी संस्कृति ये चाहती है कि सभी लोग, देखो यहाँ पे कुछ ऐसा नहीं बोला है ओनली इंडियंस. because we were always open for the well-being of everybody. Next का क्या मीनिंग है?
एकम सत विप्रा बहुधा वदन्ति।
हाँ नहीं, उसके पहले वसुधैव कुटुंबकम।
पूरी दुनिया ही
We
हमारा
are all one, sir. The
So
universe
everyone
has
knows
universal
Kutumba
one.
is a family and Vasudha means earth.
पृथ्वी।
Earth, sir.
Whole earth, whole Prithvi is one family. अंडरस्टैंड ये तब लिखा गया है जब बाजू के गांव में जाने को भी कई घंटे लगते थे, पूरी पृथ्वी देखना इम्पॉसिबल था। तब भी हमारे पूर्वजों ने ये सोचा कि पूर्ण संपूर्ण पृथ्वी एक ही कुटुंब है। वी हैव टू शेयर नॉलेज विथ एवरीवन एंड वी हैव टू लिव टुगेदर, बिकॉज कोई एक अगर नेचर को डिस्ट्रॉय करता है तो पूरे पृथ्वी को उसका इम्पैक्ट होता है। गुड, नेक्स्ट वन।
एक ही प्रकार का सत्य है, लेकिन विश्व में आर्य मतलब जो लोग हैं वो उसे अलग अलग तरीके से बताते हैं ऐसे।
अरे एकम सत्य, सो सत्य एक ही है, परब्रह्म एक ही है, पूर्ण ज्ञान एक ही है, परंतु हम लोग ये नहीं बोल रहे कि व्हाट वी से इज ओनली करेक्ट। हम ये बोल रहे हैं कि विप्रा यानी जो विद्वान लोग हैं वो अलग अलग तरह से उसको एक्सप्लेन करते हैं। इसीलिए सभी विश्व की सभी परंपराएं, जितने भी धर्म ग्रंथ रहेंगे, सभी हमारे लिए आदरणीय है, क्योंकि वो अलग अलग तरह से एक ही सत्य बता रहे हैं। दैट वाज द बिलीफ। एंड द लास्ट वन,
Sir,
प्लीज
read
म्यूट
the
योर सेल्फ अगर दूसरा कुछ चल रहा है। हाँ सर बताइए, नरेश जी बताइए।
read that sentence, sir.
कृण्वन्तो विश्वम आर्यम। विश्वम, आई थिंक एवरीवन नोस द होल वर्ल्ड।
Whole world.
ये विश्व गुरु से रिलेटेड कई कंसेप्ट है का सर? विश्व गुरु
नहीं नहीं,
नहीं।
हम लोग ये हमारे पूर्वजों ने ऐसे कहा था कि संपूर्ण विश्व को आर्य बनाते हैं, मीन्स सुसंस्कृत बनाते हैं। दिस इज नॉट अ रेशियल आइडिया। सभी लोग अपने अपने रेस के हो, अपने अपने देश में रहते हो, बट वी विल सेंड नॉलेज टू एवरीबडी और सभी को अच्छा बनाएंगे, सुसंस्कृत बनाएंगे। इसीलिए इट सेज कृण्वन्तो विश्वम आर्यम। So we had that deep sense of oneness and deep sense of well-being for the whole of the earth. ऐसे बहुत श्लोक बता सकते हैं, मैंने जस्ट एक एग्जाम्पल के लिए 3-4 बताए हैं। So we'll discuss a little bit because you are all researchers, teachers. तो थोड़ा सा हमने एग्जाम्पल लिया, कुछ साइंस के 2 एग्जाम्पल्स लिए कि क्यों हमने आईके सीखना, पब्लिश करना जरूरी है। Now I'll also take from other fields. हम सभी जानते हैं कि nowadays योग has become quite popular. So International Day of Yoga कभी होता है? And from which year it has started?
June 22nd, sir.
Correct. And from which year it has started?
2015, sir.
Very true. It is June 21st actually. सबसे बड़ा दिन रहता है on the northern hemisphere. And from that time, now the world is aware because it was proposed by Bharat and accepted almost unanimously by all the countries. And from 2015, it is being celebrated. But prior to that, there were several attempts to patent yoga also. So बहुत सारे आसन जो है उनको पेटेंट किए गए। तो वो लोग ऐसा बोलेंगे कि ऐसे ऐसे गर्दन घुमाना है तो ये एक आसन है, वी हैव इन्वेंटेड इट, हमारे सिवा कोई आसन नहीं कर सकता है, या करेंगे तो हमें रॉयल्टी दो। मैंने तो बहुत इजी एग्जांपल दिया, बट like that there were attempts to patent several yogic postures or asanas. Then can you tell a few systems of pranayam?
Pranayam, sir. वो पूरक, कुंभक, रेचक।
कराया।
वेरी ट्रू, बट प्राणायाम का नाम कोई बताया या रूपाली जी आप कुछ बता रहे हैं? नरेश जी, यू कैन गो अहेड. You have told steps,
कपालभाति,
but
अनुलोम विलोम।
कपालभाति.
yes, सीमा जी को सभी पता है, तो she has rightly answered. हाँ सर, 84 आपका नाम भी बताइए एंड ऑल्सो यू कैन आंसर.
अतुल पाटिल sir.
अतुल पाटिल. हाँ हाँ, कौन कौन सा प्राणायाम आप बता रहे थे?
कपालभाति,
कपाल भाती, राइट.
भस्त्रिका।
एंड एनीथिंग एल्स?
बस रे.
भस्त्रिका।
भस्त्रिका. बहुत सारे
कपालभाति,
प्राणायाम के प्रकार है,
कपालभाति,
लेकिन कपालभाति है. इसका भी प्रयत्न कई सारे फॉरेन कंपनीज और यूनिवर्सिटीज ने किया है टू पेटेंट सम टाइप ऑफ प्राणायाम्स. एंड देन देर आर सेवरल टाइप्स ऑफ ध्यान इन आवर ट्रेडिशन, उसको भी पेटेंट करने का प्रयास हुआ. So again, you can understand the importance of learning and documenting and publishing on various aspects of Bharatiya knowledge. Otherwise, उसको चुराने के लिए लोग बैठे हुए हैं. So एक मैंने योग का एग्जाम्पल दिया. Now I'll give one example from management field. So many of you would have studied various methods or systems or models of motivation. So can you name a few models of motivation?
स्वामी विवेकानंद.
नहीं नहीं, ऐसे मॉडल्स नहीं बता रहा हूं. थियरीज ऑफ मोटिवेशन जो मैनेजमेंट स्कूल्स में आज पढ़ाया जाता है या कॉमर्स के सिलेबस में भी पढ़ाया जाता है.
हसबर्ग थियरी।
वेरी ट्रू. हर्सबर्ग टू फैक्टर थियरी एक है, और कुछ?
गिड्स थियरी।
करेक्ट.
कैरेट एंड स्टिक थियरी।
वेरी ट्रू. सो और एक है कि
रूम्स एक्सपेक्टेंसी थियरी।
नीड हिरारकी भी है,
गिड्स
बहुत सारे
हिरार्की थियरी।
श्लोक है
हैं.
ना?
बट
रूम्स एक्सपेक्टेंसी थियरी।
वेरी ट्रू, वेरी गुड. सो बहुत सारे थियरीज ऑफ मैनेजमेंट पढ़ाए जाते हैं. अनफॉर्चुनेटली यू विल नॉट हियर ऑफ एनी इंडियन थियरी, जबकि हमारे शास्त्रों में इतने सारा ज्ञान है हाउ टू मोटिवेट पीपल. आई विल जस्ट गिव वन एग्जांपल जिसपे मेरे स्वयं के स्टूडेंट ने पीएचडी किया है. सो ही प्रेजेंटेड इट एज अ थियरी. सो यू ऑल वुड हैव हर्ड ऑफ कर्मयोग.
यस सर।
तो कर्मयोग क्या होता है अगले स्लाइड में है, बट मैं आपसे जानना चाह रहा हूं. एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो टेल एनी श्लोक ऑफ कर्मयोग इफ यू आर अवेयर. या मीनिंग बताए, कर्मयोग होता क्या है, व्हाट डज इट टेल?
रिगार्डिंग वर्क सर,
या नरेश जी, या यू कैन गो अहेड.
इट इज वर्किंग दिस वन सर।
वो कर्मण्येव अधिकारस्य, ये सुना है हमने।
कर्म करते
जो
जा,
करो,
फल
फल
क्या
की चिंता मत करो, ऐसे।
श्री कृष्ण परमात्मा का श्लोक है।
वेरी गुड. मेनी ऑफ यू हैव ट्राइड वेल. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्य, सीमा जी ने कुछ बताया है आगे.
माँ फलेषु कदाचन।
माँ फलेषु
कदाचन।
कदाचन,
कदाचन।
यानी आप कर्म करिए
डोंट एक्सपेक्ट द
किंतु
रिजल्ट
फल
फल
की
की अपेक्षा मत
अपेक्षा
रखिए।
न करिए.
विदाउट
डज इट
रिजल्ट
मीन कि आपको कर्म का फल नहीं मिलेगा?
मिलेगा सर।
मिलेगा।
हाँ, ये बोलता है कि कर्म का फल 100% मिलेगा. हमें वहां देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. सो अदरवाइज क्या होता है, कोई स्टूडेंट एग्जाम लिखता है, उसका 50% ध्यान होता है कि पास होऊंगा कि नहीं, मार्क्स मिलेंगे कि नहीं, मुझे एक रैंक आएगा कि नहीं. या हम कुछ काम करते होते हैं तो 50% अटेंशन इज डाइवर्टेड. सो इट सेज दैट कीप योर फुल अटेंशन टू योर वर्क. डोंट वरी अबाउट आउटकम, बिकॉज आउटकम्स आर बाउंड टू फॉलो. और कभी कभी हम जैसा चाहते हैं वैसा रिजल्ट नहीं आता, आउटकम डजंट फॉलो. तो क्या, लाइक हाउ वुड यू एक्सप्लेन दैट?
यू वर्क हार्ड, यू आर गोइंग टू गेट द गुड रिजल्ट्स।
वेरी ट्रू, बट कुछ कुछ लोग बोलते हैं मुझे रिजल्ट ही नहीं आता है.
अगर कर्म अच्छा रहा तो फल तो मिलेगा ही सर।
हाँ, बुरा रहा तो भी मिलेगा.
मिलेगा, हाँ,
अच्छा हो
वो
या
भी है।
बुरा हो,
वो भी है
पक्का
सर।
मिलेगा. सो व्हाट इट बेसिकली, मैंने अभी श्लोक भी आपको दिखाया है. सो कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्य मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्म फल हेतुर्भु. लास्ट पार्ट बाद में आऊंगा. वो व्हाट इट मीन्स इज आवर राइट, अधिकार इज आवर राइट, इज टू परफॉर्म कर्म. सो डोंट वरी अबाउट कर्म फल, डोंट वरी अबाउट रिवॉर्ड. कभी कभी हमें ऐसे लगता है कि हमें रिवॉर्ड नहीं मिला है, बट एक्चुअली वी वुड हैव अर्नड अ लॉट ऑफ जस्ट फ्रॉम डूइंग द कर्म. अगर हम अच्छा कर्म कर रहे हैं तो हमारा एक्सपीरियंस और एक्सपर्टीज बढ़ा है. इफ नॉट नाउ, द कर्म फल इज बाउंड टू फॉलो इन कमिंग पीरियड्स. अभी इसका अर्थ कुछ लोगों को ऐसे लगेगा कि ठीक है, कर्म फल नहीं मिल रहा है तो मैं कर्म क्यों करूं. इसलिए लास्ट पार्ट में ये बोला है कि माते संगोस्त कर्मणि. सो डोंट गेट अटैच टू वर्क, बट ऑल्सो डोंट गेट अटैच टू नॉन वर्किंग. मतलब आलसी भी मत बनो. पुट योर फुल टू द वर्क, rewards are going to follow. Now this is an excellent model of motivation, because हमको पता है कि 60 to 70% people do not get more than average result. और जितने भी वेस्टर्न मॉडल्स है जो सीमा मैम ने सही से बताए थे, दे आर ऑल रिवॉर्ड बेस्ड. वो बोलते हैं कि आप परफॉर्म करो, आपको बोनस मिलेगा, आपको इंसेंटिव मिलेगा, आपको रिवॉर्ड मिलेगा. जिसको रिवॉर्ड मिला ऑफकोर्स खुश होगा, वो इवन बेटर परफॉर्म करेगा, वो अगले टाइम उससे भी बेटर परफॉर्म करेगा, बिकॉज उसको रिवॉर्ड मिल रहा है. बट ऐसे 10 या 15% लोग हो गए, रिमेनिंग पीपल आर एक्चुअली डिससेटिस्फाइड बिकॉज दे डोंट गेट व्हाट दे वांटेड. फिर ऐसे लोग क्या करते हैं, वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में रह के दूसरे लोगों का पैर पीछे खींचते हैं. ऑल ऑफ यू वुड हैव ऑब्जर्व, क्योंकि वो नहीं रिजल्ट लाते तो दूसरे को भी नहीं लाने देते. बट कर्मयोग मॉडल ऑफ मोटिवेशन सबको सेटिस्फाई करता है. दोज हु विन और दोज हु अचीव, ऑफ कोर्स उनको रिवॉर्ड मिलेगा. दोज हु डोंट अचीव ऑल्सो डू नॉट बिकम डिसइल्यूजन, बिकॉज ये बताया गया है कि आप पूरे सेटिस्फेक्शन के लिए कर्म करिए. इफ नॉट नाउ, द रिवॉर्ड विल फॉलो लेटर ऑन. सो डिसइल्यूजनमेंट, उससे आत्महत्या, सुसाइड्स, ऐसे सब वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज में बहुत होता है. आजकल भारत में भी होने लगा है. ऑल दिस प्रॉब्लम्स वुड बी सिग्निफिकेंटली मिनिमाइज इफ वी फॉलो कर्म योगा. Unfortunately, this is never presented, published as a model of motivation. So one of my students, जिनका नाम अजिंक्य नवरे है, डॉक्टर अजिंक्य नवरे नाउ, he published it as a thesis and also made lot of publication from IIT Bombay. Today he is faculty in one of the IIMs. So अभी ऐसा करेंगे तो धीरे धीरे it will come in our syllabus. So now so many people think कि जो भारतीय ज्ञान है अपने सिलेबस में क्यों नहीं है. एक तो वेस्टर्न लोगों ने डेलिबरेटली नहीं डाला, लेकिन ये भी रीजन है कि वी हैव आल्सो नॉट डन इनफ डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, इनफ पब्लिशिंग ऑन इट. सो सिंस अगेन ऑल ऑफ यू आर टीचर्स, रिसर्चर्स, आई वुड कॉल अपॉन यू कि इसमें हमारा काम है. आईकेएस तो हमें पढ़ाना है, बट डोंट जस्ट से कि एनईपी में आया है तो हमें जबरदस्ती पढ़ाएंगे. एक्चुअली देयर इज अ लॉट टू पब्लिश ऑन इट, और हम भी हाई क्वालिटी पब्लिकेशन कर पाएंगे because we have got concepts which are new to the world. Although they are known to us somewhere in the background, they are not in our textbooks, but they can go to really high quality journals. You can also add, if you have any thoughts. मैं जो प्रश्न कर रहा हूं उतना ही उत्तर दो, ऐसा नहीं है. Okay, next is, आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं कि कल्चरल हेरिटेज बहुत सारे टाइप का होता है. One is a tangible heritage in the form of movable and immovable. So उसमें पेंटिंग्स है, स्कल्पचर्स है, मूर्तियां है, मंदिर है. इमूवेबल भी रहता है, आर्कियोलॉजिकल साइट्स या मोन्यूमेंट्स वगैरह. एंड देन देर आर intangible heritage that is in the form of oral traditions, our habits, the knowledge which we have. So all of this is included in the knowledge systems. कुछ हम लोग देख पाते हैं, कुछ हम लोग देख नहीं पाते, but it is a very important source of knowledge. जैसे मैंने 3-4 एग्जांपल्स दिए, योग हो या कर्मयोग हो, that is nowhere as such you can see it tangible, but it forms in the intangible knowledge. In fact, बहुत सारा हमारा knowledge जो है that's in the intangible form. कुछ मैंने 2-3 एग्जांपल्स दिए हैं. So one example, we know that we have a very ancient tradition of Indian calendars. आजकल जो हम कैलेंडर यूज करते हैं, जिसको we call it English calendar, but actually it's a Gregorian calendar introduced in 1592 by Pope Gregory in Europe. But our traditional calendar is much ancient, and there are many aspects of it. So anyone knows different types of calendars or want to add something on it?
सर
उसमें
आई नो
क्या
पंचांग,
एक्स्ट्रा एस्पेक्ट्स है?
आई
हाँ
नो
बताइए
पंचांग,
सीमा।
उसमें करण, वार, तिथि और नक्षत्र, और एक क्या रह गया? तो ये 4 मुझे पता है उसमें।
वेरी गुड, सीमा जी ने बहुत
करण,
अच्छा उत्तर दिया
करण।
है। नॉर्मल जो कैलेंडर होता है उसमें कौन से 2 एस्पेक्ट्स होते हैं? देयर इज अ डेट एंड देयर इज अ डे। जैसे हम लोग बोलेंगे आज थर्सडे है एंड 20th of Feb है, सो डेट एंड डे। किंतु भारतीय पंचांग में 5 एस्पेक्ट्स होते हैं। सीमा जी आप फिर से बताइए, यू आर टोल्ड करेक्टली।
यस, तिथि, नक्षत्र, वार, करण
और एक योग होता है।
योग। हाँ,
योग असतो
योगासन वाला योग नहीं, हमारे पंचांग में भी एक
योग
योग
असतो
होता
ना.
है। सो 5 एस्पेक्ट्स उसमें कवर किए हैं। सो इट इज मच मोर इलेबोरेट एंड डिटेल। और उसमें एनीवन वांट्स टू ऐड एनीथिंग फर्दर? कौन कौन से टाइप्स ऑफ पंचांग्स वी हैव? So do we follow a solar system or a lunar system?
सोलर.
लूनर।
आप कौन से प्रांत से आते हैं? बिकॉज पूरे देश में अलग अलग फॉलो होता है। विनेश जी या सीमा जी, या यू कैन ऐड।
सर अकॉर्डिंग टू मी लूनर पंचांग ऐसे, क्योंकि चंद्र की तिथि पे
नॉर्मली
ही
भारतीय
बनता है, अमावस्या, पूर्णिमा वगैरह, और उसके हिसाब से मंथ डिसाइड किए जाते हैं, इसीलिए आई थिंक लूनर है।
भारतीय पंचांग में बहुत सारे राज्यों में लूनर पंचांग वापरते हैं। सो महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटक, आंध्र में वी फॉलो शालिवाहन शक सिस्टम। नॉर्थ में विक्रमादित्य शक है, दोनों लूनर है। और ये जो ग्रेगरियन कैलेंडर है दैट इज सोलर। बट रिमेंबर, इवन इन इंडिया, जैसे तमिलनाडु है या सिंध है, असम है, बंगाल है, वहां पे सोलर सिस्टम है। जैसे हमारी मकर संक्रांति जो है वो सोलर सिस्टम से आती है, बिकॉज वी हैव अ लूनी सोलर सिस्टम। वी अंडरस्टैंड बोथ मूवमेंट ऑफ सन ऑल्सो, मूवमेंट ऑफ moon also. It is much more advanced and much more elaborate system. Yeah, anyone wants to add anything? चलो इसमें और जा सकते हैं, but I'll not go. I am just giving an example how in every aspect we have a lot of knowledge but not much explored. यहाँ पे मैंने कुछ edicts दिए हैं. These are known as अशोका edicts. 260 BC में अशोक पिलर पे है. So the script which you see here, this is a Brahmi script and it is written in Prakrut. This is there in Indus Saraswati script. So 5000 years or 7000 years ago भी जो ये मिले हैं, वहां पे भी ये स्क्रिप्ट हमें दिखती है. So here I have given example of a Brahmi script which is ancient than Devanagari script which we now use in most of the states. Then we have got several ancient cities which includes Varanasi. अभी महाकुंभ हो रहा है, प्रयागराज है, उज्जैन है, नालंदा है, रामेश्वरम है. They are at least 5 to 7,000 years old. मैं villages नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, villages would be thousands of year old. but even cities are extremely old in Bharat, and again they have a continuing tradition. ऐसे नहीं है कि ग्रीक सिटीज जो थे वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो गए. We have a continuous tradition. Yeah, what do you see now on the slide?
Yes. Masala, spices.
Various types of pulses. I think महिलाएं इसमें ज्यादा बता सकती है, क्योंकि ये हमारे फूड में भी यूज होता है. They also have medicinal properties. So again, I will not go into details, but you all know that every pulse has every spice has it's actually a herb, and it has very specific properties useful to us for our health. तो ये बहुत सारा ज्ञान है जो हम जानते हैं. It is used, but it is not documented. It's not so much explored, or at least it's not there in our textbooks which we teach. Then there are many oral traditions, because since our culture is thousands of years old, everything was not written. But जैसे ऋग्वेद या बाकी वेद है, legends है, folk tales है, पंचतंत्र है, proverbs है, म्यूजिक और डांस के फॉर्म्स है, ये सभी में बहुत सारे ओरल ट्रेडिशन का ज्ञान छुपा हुआ है, which has been passed on for several years. Some examples which I have given about fine arts, which includes terracotta, bronze, और जैसे मैथिल आर्ट है, मधुबनी आर्ट है, उड़ीसा में है, साउथ में कई सारी जगह पे वेरियस फॉर्म्स ऑफ आर्ट्स हैव बीन फाउंड. भरतनाट्यम है या तंजौर में कुछ है. So there are several ancient dance forms as well as art forms. Yeah, anyone wants to add, you can add. Huh? You might be knowing many more things. Next, we'll talk about archaeological sites. You might be aware that we have got even Paleolithic sites, which are as old as 25 lakh years ago, up to 2.5 lakh years ago. जिसका एक एग्जाम्पल है भीमबेटका. Have you heard of भीमबेटका? भीमबेटका या पहाड़गढ़ दोनों भी मध्य प्रदेश में है. They are expected to be about 10 lakh years old archaeological sites, जिसमें कुछ ह्यूमन ड्राइंग्स किए हुए हैं कि तब के लोग कैसे रहते थे. ऐसे ही पैलियोलिथिक साइट्स आर इवन फाउंड इन तमिलनाडु नियर चेन्नई. So they are actually there in all parts of Bharat. Then Mesolithic sites भी है जो less than 2,50,000 years old but up to 10,000 years old. They include this Anangapur near Faridabad or Mangar Bani caves near Gurugram near Delhi. Then what is known as Neolithic sites. So Neolithic sites में बीराना है या एदक्कल है. Then we know that marine archaeology भी है. हम महाराष्ट्र में रहते हैं तो हमारे नजदीक ही कोकण किनारे के पास नियर कोकण के about 8 to 9,000 years ago a wall was built so that sea doesn't come in. वो wall आज भी, वो तो अभी below sea है. So that is called as a marine archaeology. या गल्फ ऑफ खंबात में है, जैसे हमारे यहाँ द्वारका है, बेट द्वारका है, और समुद्र के अंदर भी द्वारका है, which is at least 5,000 years old. और ऐसे बहुत सारे sites है. I am also not expert in it, but I am just trying to tell how old our culture is. Yeah, what is this? स्लाइड में ऑलरेडी आ गया है. सो हम पता है कि मोहिंजोदड़ो में ये मिला था 1927 में. सो दिस वाज कॉल्ड एज इंडस वैली दैट टाइम. नाउ न्यू रिसर्च शोज दैट इट इज सरस्वती इंडस वैली. वील कम टू इट, बट दिस शोज प्रीस्ट किंग स्टैचू. सो आप देख सकते हैं कि बियर्ड जो है, दाढ़ी जो है, वो कितनी ठीक से बनाई है इवन इन दैट टाइम. या माथे पे आप तिलक देख सकते हैं. देन आप ड्राइंग देख सकते हैं, उनके जो ये डाला हुआ है, उत्तरीय लिया हुआ है, उसके ऊपर भी वो प्लेन नहीं है. अंडरस्टैंड कि दिस शुड बी 5,000 years to 10,000 years ago, जब विश्व में लोग कपड़े भी नहीं पहनते थे, तब हमारे लोग कपड़े पहनते थे, एंड इट हैज ऑल्सो कम इन आर्कियोलॉजिकल साइट। वहां पे भी आप ड्राइंग देख सकते हैं, आज भी वैसा ही टेक्सटाइल हम यूज करते हैं। सो दिस शोज लॉट ऑफ कंटिन्यूटी इन आवर कल्चर। सो दिस इज समथिंग आई वॉज रिफरिंग टू। दिस इज कॉल्ड एज अ इंडस वैली। आप उसमें मोहिंजोदड़ो और हराप्पा देख सकते हैं, जो सरस्वती सिंधु नदी के पास मिला था। That's why it was called as Indus Valley. But now several new sites have been found on the eastern side of it. So have you heard of Lothal? आप एकदम साउथ में एक लोथल देख सकते हैं वहां पे। What is this Lothal? Anyone knows? So लोथल जो है वहां गुजरात में है, वो तो आप देख ही पाएंगे। वहां पे बहुत बड़ा प्लेटफॉर्म है, बिकॉज दैट इज अ वेरी वेरी ओल्ड पोर्ट and one of the longest platforms even by today's standards. So in India, in ancient times, we had a good marine type of trade. यहां से बहुत सारे ships जाते थे और आते थे, और आप देख सकते हैं उसका लोकेशन एकदम सेफ जगह पे है। So it is one of the ancient ports, and there you can see ancient river course. हकरा रिवर या सरस्वती रिवर जो है, उसके दोनों साइड पे ये बहुत सारे साइट्स मिले हैं। आजकल ये हरियाणा और ऐसे जगह पे भी साइट्स मिले हैं। हरियाणा में कौन सी साइट मिली है, एनीवन नोस? वो भी इंडस सरस्वती वैली के समय का ही साइट है। दैट इज नोन एज राखी गढ़ी। सो शुरू में क्या हुआ, ब्रिटिशर्स ने ये कंक्लूड किया कि भारतीय लोगों के पास घोड़े नहीं थे या कोई भी रथ या ऐसे वाहन नहीं थे, बट एट राखी गढ़ी घोड़ों के भी स्ट्रेस मिले हैं और पुराने रथ भी मिले हैं, जो कि हमारे शास्त्रों में लिखे हुए थे। सो लाइक दैट यू डू सी लॉट ऑफ एविडेंस, दो व्हाट इज फाउंड इज इवन नॉट इवन 1% ऑफ व्हाट एग्जिस्टेड, क्योंकि हमारा कंटिन्यूअस कल्चर है ना, उसी साइट्स के ऊपर नए बिल्डिंग्स, नए घर ऐसे हजारों वर्षों से आ रहे हैं। सो इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू गेट एनी साइट इन भारत, बट फिर भी कुछ साइट्स हमारे यहां जरूर मिले हैं। ये क्या देख रहे हैं आप, व्हाट डज दिस पिक्चर शो? इस साइड में आप कुछ एंशंट इंडस वैली के देख सकते हैं कि वहां पे कितना अच्छा टाउन प्लानिंग था। स्ट्रेट रोड्स, मार्केट ऑन बोथ साइड्स, देन वेरी गुड अरेंजमेंट ऑफ सैनिटेशन even at that time. And on this side you can see पुराने सिक्के आप देख सकते हैं, कॉइन्स इन एंशिएंट टाइम, जिसमें आप देखिए बुल है, हाथी है, सो अलग अलग एनिमल्स है। एंड वहां पे जो स्क्रिप्ट है, तो एक साइड में ब्राह्मी और एक साइड में ग्रीक स्क्रिप्ट है, क्योंकि इतना सारा ट्रेड तब होता था भारत से यूरोप तक। हे मैंने देखा की बाथिंग फॅसिलिटीज, सामुदायिक जिथे आपण स्नान करू शकतो असे मोठे मोठे घाट आहेत। देन दीज आर एंशियंट खिलौने हैं वो, बट यू कैन सी व्हील्स देयर। सो व्हील का इन्वेंशन कितना पुराना है उसकी एक आइडिया आती है कि खिलौने में भी वो गाड़ी यूज कर रहे हैं एटलीस्ट 5,000 ईयर्स एगो। और आप देख सकते हैं कि प्रिस्ट मेडिटेट कर रहे हैं। सो आज भी जैसी योग मुद्रा है, वो पद्मासन में बैठे हुए हैं। ये सिक्का ऐसा का ऐसा मिला है। सो आई वॉज टॉकिंग अबाउट कंटिन्यूअस ट्रेडिशन। सो एंड इस साइड में आप कुछ वेट्स देख सकते हैं। सो वी हैड स्टैंडर्डाइज वेट्स एट दैट टाइम, जैसे अभी हम लोग 1:10 सिस्टम में, बट दे वेर इन द रेशियो ऑफ 1:16। So since we had a very developed commerce, trade and business, there were standard weights, there were penalties if you don't follow standard weights. जैसे अभी weights and weights का एक्ट है, वैसे ही एंशिएंट इंडिया में भी हमें पेनल्टीज दिखती है। नाउ Indian government has developed this traditional knowledge digital library so that outsiders do not patent our knowledge, and it is available in several languages, not just in English, German, French, Japanese, Spanish, and so on, and also about Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, and so on, so that those medical formulations other people should not steal. And there is also online prior research for all patent offices. Okay, now what do you see here? ये क्या है?
Is it the
ते
part of pyramid, sir?
अफगाणिस्तानामध्ये झालं होतं सर ते.
करेक्ट. अफगाणिस्तानामधलं काही साईट आहे. व्हॉट इज दिस? एनीवन नोस?
गौतम बुद्धांचा पुतळा होता तो.
बरोबर आहे. आणि
बुद्धांच्या मूर्ती दिसायलात सर तिथे.
बरोबर आहे. आणि अजून काही ऍड करू
तालिबान्यांनी
शकता?
ते
आहेत
नष्ट
ते अजूनही?
करण्याचा प्रयत्न केला
डू
सर
दे
त्यावेळेला.
एक्झिस्ट इवन टुडे?
Yes, sir.
Actually on left side you can see बुद्ध प्रतिमा. उनके मुख का हास्य आप देख सकते हैं. And you can see the height because you can see people standing. So how tall that Buddha Murti is, you can imagine. And on the other side, you can see today's position. It is completely destroyed now. So when was it destroyed? Any idea?
तालिबान.
Correct. In which year?
तालिबान एरिया दिसतो सर ती.
Taliban, right? You are right. Taliban has destroyed using missiles because height is so high.
हा.
And when did they destroy it? This is very recent destruction in 1998, which is all documented. So I'm just giving you one example. Now you can imagine that in 1,000 years of Afghan and Arab rule, how many of our ancient scriptures, monuments, temples, murtis would have been destroyed. So much has been destroyed and very little is left actually what you see. So
मध्ये जात नाही का पाणी? नाही का? बरं मग.
As we know that all the invaders, whether Arabs, Afghans, Mughals, British, they have tried always to destroy Bharatiya culture and impose their culture on us. So a lot of tangible things were destroyed by Arabs, Afghans, and Mughals. But British also destroyed especially our intangible knowledge. So you would have heard that there was an Indian Education Act which was introduced in 1835. So who introduced it? Any idea? Who was the person who introduced it? Who introduced this law? Many times that name is known. That is why I have not shown it in the slide. What was the motto of the act? That is given here in the side. It says, we want Indian in blood and color, but English in tests, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. So what is the meaning? इसका अर्थ क्या है? Indian in blood and color, but English in tests and opinions. So the objective of this act, which is called as Indian Education Act, was to create students or graduates who would be Indian in blood and color. Because British were very clever. They knew that they can't rule this whole country. They were very handful, only few hundred British. and crores of Indians. So they wanted people who would work as clerks and their administrators. That is why Indian in blood and color, but British in tastes and opinion. So what is British in tastes and opinion? So those people who are proud of English culture, they would have same morals, same opinions like English.
इंग्लिश.
तब वो लोग ब्रिटिश भी नहीं बोलते हैं, यूके बाद में आया है, इंग्लैंड, so that's why they say English. So you can understand कि हमारा mind कितना imposed है with Western thoughts, even now. Because 200 years of British rule followed by 70, 80 years of, even after our independence, our syllabus was not changed much. So we continue to have that impact. Lot of our intangible knowledge was destroyed. And Western education was imposed, their thoughts, their philosophy was imposed, and our mindset has already changed. We are already colonized mindset because of this Indian Education Act. So who was the person? Anyone has remembered it now? Because that name is very famous. Anyone wants to tell? That person is Macaulay. So many times it's called as Macaulay's Minutes. Fine. So I have tried to discuss about Bharatiya knowledge system for about 1 hour. Anyone else wants to add or ask any question on it? So we'll stop on this now and I will go to Bharatiya knowledge system related to our commerce, management, economics, this area. So I'll just go to another slide. Till that time, yes, you can ask any questions, queries if you have.
सर मुझे एक क्वेश्चन हमेशा आता है कि आईकेएस मतलब इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम इतनी स्ट्रांग थी फिर भी, और हम उसमें फैमिली में भी प्रैक्टिस कर सकते थे लाइक योगा और अदर, जैसे हमने देखा तो घर में भी इसकी कभी प्रैक्टिस मतलब कम होने लगी या हुई नहीं बहुत सारे घरों में. अगर इतना स्ट्रांग हमारा बिलीफ था तो ये मतलब जनरेशन टू जनरेशन क्यों नहीं गया सर?
यस, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. कोई आंसर करना चाहता है?
क्योंकि ब्रिटिश तो घर पे आके थोड़ी ना देखते थे, या मुगल ना घर पे आके थोड़ी देखते थे कि क्या हो रहा है, इस पढ़ा रहे क्या पढ़ा रहे, तो हमने कैसे एक्सेप्टेंस मतलब फैमिली में मिला उससे?
सो कोई आंसर करना चाहता है? एक्चुअली अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. सो ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है कि हम लोग नहीं फॉलो करते हैं हमारी सिस्टम. 70 to 80% हम लोग हमारी ही सिस्टम फॉलो करते हैं. इसीलिए हमारे यहाँ हम हल्दी करते हैं ना अभी भी कि वी डोंट फॉलो, वी डू फॉलो. आपने बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न किया है. हमारे घरों में हम लोग हमारी ही सिस्टम फॉलो करते हैं, बट हमारे टेक्स्ट बुक्स में नहीं है. ये डिफरेंस है. हम स्पाइसेस अपने ही यूज करते हैं. अभी ये जरूरी नहीं है कि भारत बहुत बड़ा देश है और हमारे पूर्वजों ने भी कभी इम्पोज नहीं किया था कि पूरा वैसे के वैसे फॉलो करो. हर घर में अलग सिस्टम होगी ना. वी अलाउ एंड एंजॉय डाइवर्सिटी, बट दैट नॉलेज वॉज वेरी मच देयर एंड वी हैव बीन फॉलोइंग इट. और भारत एक ही संस्कृति ऐसी है कि आफ्टर 1000 years ऑफ फॉरेन रूल ऑल्सो वी हैव रिटेन एंड कंटिन्यूड आवर कल्चर. हाँ, कुछ डिस्टॉर्शन आया है उसमें, कुछ रॉन्ग बिलीफ्स आए हैं, दैट आई एग्री, बट 60 to 70% वी कंटिन्यू टू फॉलो. सो ऐसा कुछ मानने की जरूरत नहीं है कि वी डोंट
योगा
फॉलो.
या
बट
मेडिटेशन या मंत्रा.
naturally whatever government imposes gets imposed. जैसे हम महाराष्ट्र में रहते हैं, हम लोग पता है कि 20 years पहले तक शिव जयंती केवल तिथि से ही होती थी. उसके बाद में ये 19 फरवरी आया, तो आजकल लोग फॉलो करते हैं. सो जो गवर्नमेंट डिक्टेट करता है वो नेचुरली फॉलो करना ही पड़ता है, स्पेशली सोसाइटी में. सेम वे वी आर इन अ फॉरेन सिस्टम फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 1000 years. उसके बावजूद भी वी हैव कंटिन्यूड 70-80% of our traditions, culture, oral traditions and so on. But हाँ, हमारे टेक्स्ट बुक्स में बिल्कुल नहीं है. सो ये जो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, वो प्रयास कर रही है कि IK शुड बी अ पार्ट ऑफ आवर knowledge systems. That is almost not there because of Indian Education Act. But हमारे घरों में and हमारे रेगुलर व्यवहार में to a great extent we are following it. But of course we are also having lot of attraction of Western culture. So हम लोग उनका follow थोड़ा बहुत copy करते हैं. Good question by Sandhya. Yeah, any other question? Okay, now I've opened up the next one. I think we are going to break at 4:30, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have a lot of time. So now we'll talk about finance, business, and such discussion. So what we are discussing is more about cultural economics or cultural finance, which is a very interesting aspect of finance and management, which is becoming more and more popular all over the world. This is a quote by Professor Weber, very famous professor of psychology and public affairs, as to why culture is very important. So this is known as cultural economics, a branch of behavioral economics, a branch of behavioral finance, you can call it. मैं थोड़ा सा फास्ट आगे जा रहा हूं क्योंकि इतना डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. We'll try to discuss about these things that जो मैडम ने अभी पूछा कि डू वी फॉलो इट, तो कुछ हद तक तो हम तो स्पाइसेस फॉलो करते हैं, हमारी सिस्टम फॉलो करते हैं, बट डू वी फॉलो आवर मैनेजमेंट और बिजनेस सिस्टम? मोस्टली इट एवरीवन फील्स कि वी डोंट फॉलो बिकॉज ऑल कंपनीज रन एज पर वेस्टर्न सिस्टम, बट एक्चुअली विदाउट नोइंगली वी फॉलो मेनी थिंग्स दैट वी विल लिटिल बिट डिस्कस हियर. We'll talk about economic ideologies and what is Bharatiya thought process in finance commerce domain. Here I have talked about well-being. ये भारतीय नहीं है, Western understanding of well-being only I have shown. So सबसे जो छोटा सर्कल है उसमें है GDP, कंजम्पशन एंड नेट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स. सो हमें पता है कि जीडीपी पे मेजर होता है कि विच कंट्री इज रिचर. सो विच कंट्री हैज हाईएस्ट जीडीपी इन द वर्ल्ड?
अमेरिका.
अमेरिका, करेक्ट. नेक्स्ट नंबर?
चाइना.
नेक्स्ट इज चाइना. एंड थर्ड?
जापान.
थर्ड इज जापान. बट अगर पीपीपी में देखेंगे तो थर्ड वन इज भारत. बट एनीवे इसमें और डिटेल नहीं जा रहा है. आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू से दैट वेलफेयर और हैप्पीनेस का जो मेजर है ट्रेडिशनली वाज जीडीपी. बट फिर वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड को भी रियलाइज हुआ कि सिर्फ जीडीपी देख के नहीं चलेगा, इसलिए नेक्स्ट सर्कल आया, इकोनॉमिक वेलबींग उसमें ऐड हुआ. मतलब वेल्थ, लेजर या अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट कितना है ब्रैकेट में, मींस जितना कम अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट होगा या कम इनसिक्योरिटी होगी. सो जीडीपी इज ओनली ग्रोथ रेट. उसमें ऐड हुआ कि इकोनॉमिक वेलबींग देखो. फिर वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड को ही रियलाइज हुआ कि केवल इकोनॉमिक देख के नहीं फायदा होगा. सो लिविंग कंडीशंस वेयर एडेड, जिसमें एनवायरमेंट है, हेल्थ है, इनइक्वालिटी इन नेगेटिव एजुकेशन. उससे भी हैप्पीनेस नहीं मिलता है, सुख नहीं मिलता है, इसलिए हैप्पीनेस वाज एडेड. उसमें क्या क्या आता है कि जेनेटिक्स, फैमिली, एक्टिविटीज, वर्क सेटिस्फैक्शन. सो आज का जो वेलबीइंग का डेफिनेशन है वो केवल मनी, पैसे या जीडीपी से रिस्ट्रिक्टेड नहीं है. इट हैज वाइडेंड, इट हैज एक्सपांडेड. सो वेस्टर्न जो थॉट प्रोसेस है वो मटेरियलिस्टिक है, पैसे के पीछे भागने वाला है. So initially it was GDP, but now it has widened a lot. सो हमारी जो भारतीय पद्धति है वो अभी हम बाद में उसको डिस्कस करेंगे, बट वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड इज ऑल्सो मूविंग टुवर्ड्स इट. इट इज बिकमिंग मोर एंड मोर पॉपुलर. दैट्स व्हाई आई शोड दिस साइड. ये उसी का एक वर्जन है कि स्ट्रिक्ट इकोनॉमिक वेलबीइंग पहले मानते थे, फिर धीरे धीरे ब्रॉडर वेलबीइंग, देन और ब्रॉडर वेलबीइंग जिसमें सोशल कनेक्शन, स्पिरिचुअल, इंटेलेक्चुअल रिचनेस वगैरह ऐड हुआ, जो हमारा कल्चर हमेशा ही होलिस्टिक अप्रोच से देखता था. जैसे हमने देखा कि सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः इज आवर मोटो. Now, what is Indian perspective of well-being? So we know that we have got 4 objectives of life. कौन से objectives है, किसको पता है?
धर्म, अर्थ, मोक्ष, काम मोक्ष.
Correct. धर्म, अर्थ, काम and moksha. What do you mean by अर्थ?
मनी.
अर्थ is money. सबको
Money.
फटाफट समझता है, इसलिए पहला वही पूछा. That everyone wants to make more money. Even our ancient people wanted to make. ऐसा नहीं कि they don't want. That's why artha was one of the objectives. What is kama?
इच्छा.
Satisfaction of desires. Desires हमारी fulfill होनी चाहिए, which was our objective, जो आज भी है. So Western world mostly revolves around artha and kama. पैसा कमाओ और अपनी इच्छाएं फुलफिल करो, डिजायर्स फुलफिल करो. बट आवर्स वाज होलिस्टिक, ब्रॉडर था. इसलिए हमारे यहाँ धर्म और मोक्ष है. इनफैक्ट अर्थ काम बीच में है. इट इज बिटवीन द बाउंड्रीज ऑफ धर्म एंड मोक्ष. नाउ व्हाट इज धर्म?
अपनी ड्यूटी नैतिकता से करना.
वेरी गुड. कि कई लोग रॉन्ग ट्रांसलेशन धर्म का रिलीजन करते हैं. Our scriptures in dharma has nothing to do with religion. It is a very broad concept कि विद्यार्थी का धर्म है, हम लोग शिक्षक है तो शिक्षक का धर्म है ठीक से पढ़ाना, विद्यार्थी का धर्म है ठीक से पढ़ना. So that is dharma, that is our duty. And what is moksha?
This concept related with the mukti.
So that is a spiritual happiness. कि इस सभी ऐहिक लोगों के बियॉन्ड कैसे जाए. So we had a very, very holistic concept. आजकल all these terms have become popular. You might have heard of ESG और sustainable finance बोलते हैं, socially responsible investing या ethical finance. So financial world is also moving to incorporate more and more Indian concepts. Yeah, so we'll go to our next slide. Yeah, any questions, comments on this?
सर ये मोक्ष कंसेप्ट और सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन की कंसेप्ट थोड़ा रिलेटेड है क्या?
काफी रिलेटेड है. यू आर वेरी राइट. क्योंकि भारतीय चिंतन जो है दैट इज मच ओल्डर एंड इट इज मच वाइडर. वेस्टर्न जो कंसेप्ट एकदम रिस्ट्रिक्टेड था ऑन द अर्निंग ऑफ मनी, उनके नेक्स्ट स्टेप्स में दे हैव कम टू सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन व्हिच इज क्लोज टू मोक्ष. यू आर वेरी राइट. मैं वही बता रहा हूं कि ऐसा नहीं है कि व्हाट वी विल नाउ डिस्कस इज नॉट रिलेटेड टू मॉडर्न थॉट्स. In fact, modern thoughts or Western thoughts are coming closer to what are our thoughts. हमारे thoughts तो thousands of years पहले भी थे. The current modern world is slowly coming closer to that. So we know, you can answer these questions. Many of you would be knowing where this the word economics came from, because economic thought बोला जाता है.
Greek
Economics. Yeah, please.
Greek word, Greek.
ग्रीक वर्ड है, वो कौन से शब्द से आया है, किसको याद है?
Oikonomos है।
वेरी करेक्ट,
Oikonomia।
ओइकोनॉमिया, इससे ये इकोनॉमिक्स डिराइव हुआ। दिस इज जस्ट अ 7 पेज वर्क बाय अरिस्टोटल, एंड हु इज कॉल्ड एज फादर ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स?
Adam Smith।
एडम स्मिथ। अगेन यू विल रियलाइज दैट वेस्टर्न अंडरस्टैंडिंग जो ओरिजिनल है, अरिस्टोटल ने लिखा है, दैट जस्ट अ 7 पेज वर्क, it is more related to city where those Greek people used to stay. Whereas भारतीय संस्कृति was much bigger, हमारे बहुत बड़े महानगर थे और बहुत बड़ा रूरल एरिया, इसको सोच के हमारा इकोनॉमिक्स लिखा गया है। सो कैन यू नेम एनी एंशिएंट इंडियन इकोनॉमिक टेक्स्ट?
कौटिल्यचे अर्थशास्त्र। कौटिल्य।
व्हेरी करेक्ट। ते कधी लिहिलंय? व्हेन इज इट रिटन, कौटिल्य अर्थशास्त्र?
2000 वर्ष आधी, 13व्या शतकात वगैरे।
13व्या नहीं, एटलीस्ट अबाउट 2500 years ago. But still, Adam Smith is known as father of economics. So now you will realize how Western thoughts are imposed. But we'll come to Indian thought later on. First, let us try to understand the Western thought. This oikonomia is basically about household management. It's a very restricted city level kind of concept. And then we have already seen it. Father of economics is known as Adam Smith, and he was the one who introduced the theories of capitalism, free market, supply, demand, and so on. So when was this capitalism introduced? Which year? Any guesses?
I think Adam Smith in 1776 he wrote his book.
Very correct. So I was just saying how old are our thoughts with much more details. So two major economic thoughts, you are all aware, capitalism and communism, Bhanwalshahi versus Samyavad. Now this capitalism introduced in 1776 after Industrial Revolution, when big businesses emerged. And these big businesses, I have given little more theory of this Adam Smith, but I'll skip it. I think many of you would be already aware of it. So this is more details about the concept of capitalism as per the Western world. And this is more like a comic, that capitalism was largely extraction. It was exploitation of everybody. This comic is also from America only. So what big businesses were doing was exploitation of colonies. Unfortunately, Bharat was severely exploited. Africa, America was also exploited. Then there was also exploitation of labor. People had to work for 15, 16 hours per day, and exploitation of consumers because there were no choices, only one or two suppliers, and consumers have to buy at whatever price they dictate. Now, because of this exploitation in Europe, there was an alternate philosophy of communism introduced. So when was this introduced, communism?
Keynes introduced communism concept.
Yeah, and further you want to add, like with whose name is communism famous? And which year?
I think in 1939.
So Marx actually introduced, he severely criticized capitalism, and they introduced a parallel to or an alternative to capitalism. I have given more details of capitalism, which I'll skip. So 1848 was the initial year it was introduced, a concept of communism, which has both political and economic doctrine, founded by Karl Marx. So he talked about haves and have-nots, and main concept which was liked by everybody was end of exploitation of equality of outcome. And with these mottos, it became very popular, especially in Europe, mainly in the workers, because workers were exploited. This says talks about end of exploitation. Now, which country first became communist? And in which year? Any guesses? Most of you would have studied this in geography, and if not in economics. So which was the country which had a communist rule first?
China.
Soviet Russia शायद.
Correct. Soviet बाद में बना, but Russia. In which year?
I think in 1917, 18, 1917 something.
Very true. So after First World War, these are details of communism, but I'll skip. So after First World War, Tsar rule became very weak. And then Bolshevik party actually seized the power through Russian Revolution in 1917. And immediately they captured areas around them. So several countries around them were captured. And 1922, Soviet Union or Soviet Russia was created, USSR as it was called. So how many countries like were captured around Russia? Any idea? As much as 17 countries. So today some war is on in Europe. Between which countries the war is on? Which are the two countries in which war is on?
Syria. Sorry, Syria.
Sorry?
Ukraine and Russia.
Russia and Ukraine. That is also to some extent outcome of this. But anyway, we'll not go in detail. So from 1922, Russia became USSR and it became the first communist nation. And they have got all this area you can see in the world map. These were under communist control. These were all communist countries at one point. So there was this is a summary of communism. And for several years, there was a Cold War between capitalism and communism. So which were the countries on capitalist side and which were the countries on communist side? Any guesses? Okay, if you don't remember countries, I have just kind of summarized the few points. You can have a rule. Look, that communists, no private property, and in capitalism, everything was private. Communism, everything was central government. In capitalism, private forces, production for basic needs. In capitalism, it's for profit, founded by Karl Marx versus by Adam Smith, and so on. So long time after First World War, there was a Cold War. So who were the leaders of Cold War?
America.
Correct. On capitalist side, now I have shown here, was a USA plus Western Europe. And on communist side, USSR, China, and Eastern Europe. So for a long time, for 7 decades, the war went on. Yeah, when did this Cold War ended? Why did it end? Any guesses? As why was the end of Cold War? कोई ऐसी घटना हुई विशेष, किसको याद है?
I think in 1991 जब ये सोवियत यूनियन जो है वो कोलैप्स हो गया तब.
वेरी ट्रू. कुछ ऐसा हुआ कि सोवियत यूनियन कोलैप्स्ड इन 91, और उसके पहले क्या हुआ था, कैसे कोलैप्स हो गया? क्योंकि इट इज द बिगेस्ट पावर and biggest country in the world, size wise also. I have shown you one picture. इसको याद आ रहा है? मैं हिंट देता हूं, सम वॉल है, कुछ तो वॉल है.
ये बर्लिन का है क्या?
वेरी ट्रू. फेमसली नोन एज कोलैप्स ऑफ बर्लिन वॉल. ये कहां पे है बर्लिन वॉल? एनी आइडिया? So this was a wall in Berlin. एक साइड में ईस्ट जर्मनी, एक साइड में वेस्ट जर्मनी. So people from East Germany, which was a communist state, wanted to go to West Germany. क्योंकि ईस्ट जर्मनी में जॉब्स नहीं थे, वेस्ट जर्मनी में बहुत सारे जॉब्स थे. And government of East Germany had built this wall, and it was built by colonial forces, but they used to actually attack their own people who were trying to cross the wall. So their army had given shoot at sight, not for invaders, घुसखोरों को रुकने के लिए नहीं, for their own people trying to cross on the other side. So people actually destroyed that wall, and that became a very, very big event in Europe. और उसके बाद कुछ ही वर्षों में, this is in 1989 November, within 1 or 2 years, USSR collapsed. And most of the countries actually gave up communism. Now, very, very few countries continue in the communist rule. Otherwise, almost all of them have given up. So, is there communist rule even now in some countries?
In China?
China.
Correct. China and North Korea या क्यूबा. बेसिकली वहां पे डिक्टेटोरियल रूल आज भी है, बट दे डोंट फॉलो कम्युनिस्ट आइडियोलॉजी anymore. So more or less this communist ideology, economic ideology, is now given up by all the countries. And what could be the reasons for it? हम लोग ब्रेक लेते हैं because time is up. But I thought मैं कुछ questions बोल के रहूंगा. So I'll just sum up in 1 minute. So we have started initially, we have discussed what is IKS, why it is important to read, learn, research IKS. One, because it is in NEP, but also because ये अपना ही knowledge है and it is nowhere in our syllabus. तो थोड़ा सा difficult है because we have not learned for so many years. So we are also new students to it, but we use it in our practice. So there is a lot of scope to learn IKS. सेकेंड पार्ट में लास्ट हाफ एन आवर में हमने थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन किया कि भारतीय अर्थचिंतन क्या है, इंडियन इकोनॉमिक थॉट. बट बिफोर दैट वी हैव ट्राइड टू डिस्कस व्हाट इज द वेस्टर्न इकोनॉमिक थॉट. तो एक तो कैपिटलिज्म है वर्सेस कम्युनिज्म है. दैट्स समथिंग वी आर जस्ट डिस्कसिंग. एंड इन द कमिंग पार्ट नाउ वी विल डिस्कस why communism has collapsed. वो तो पब्लिक डोमेन में है, आप लोग भी बताइए बाद में. एंड नाउ व्हाट इज द अल्टरनेट इंडियन थॉट. सो कैपिटलिज्म वर्सेस कम्युनिज्म लड़ाई चल रही थी. Communism has collapsed. Capitalism has already won that war. Then are there any problems in capitalism and what is the Indian alternative? And सिर्फ थियरी में नहीं है, we also use it in practice. We'll discuss about it. Okay, so it's 4:30, 4:31. So I think we'll take 15 minutes break and we'll
Yes, sir.
come back at 4:45.
Yes, sir.
नमस्ते, धन्यवाद. I would request more participation. अभी खाना खा के हो गया था. I hope now you are all charged. So more discussion please in the next part. With
Yes.
this, we'll take a break. Namaste.
Namaste.
सुनो मैम,
बोलो मैडम.
10 मिनट्स का ब्रेक है या 15 का?
15 मिनट्स बोला है ना सर ने अभी.
ओके ओके, ठीक है.
हाँ हाँ. ज्वाइन ही रहना है, लीव नहीं करना है मीटिंग. हाँ.
यस मैम.
Namaste.
नमस्ते सर.
Yeah, so I'm back once we can start. Thanks, ma'am. बहुत सारे answers you have given very well.
थँक्यू सर, थँक्यू.
So have you studied IKS already?
Sir, it's our culture. I know it.
Very good.
From my childhood, some things I know, sir.
Correct, correct. काफी अच्छे था आपका responses. And you are coordinating this course?
No, sir, I am also a student. Just they have given me responsibility to handle it well.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
For this today's session or for the whole course?
For whole course, sir.
Okay, excellent.
I'm the coordinator for biodata reading, vote of thanks and summary writing.
Very good. तुम्ही कुठल्या कॉलेजला आहात?
मी SB कॉलेज, छत्रपती संभाजीनगर. SB आर्ट्स अँड कॉमर्स कॉलेज.
ओके. आणि विषय?
कॉमर्स.
कॉमर्स. ओके. म्हणून तुम्ही मॅनेजमेंट मॉडेल्स फटाफट शिकला.
हो सर. सर तुम्ही म्हणजे हे जे सगळं IKS हे केलं, पण बऱ्याच ठिकाणी काय दिसून येतं माहितीये का? IKS मध्ये ना पूर्ण भारतभरामध्ये एकच सिलेबस असावा असं मला प्रकर्षाने वाटतं. कारण प्रत्येकाच्या मनात जसं येतंय तसं ते IKS चा अर्थ काढून मोकळे झालेत.
करेक्ट. IKS म्हणून सांगतायत.
म्हणजे कुणी त्याच्यामध्ये कधी जसं आता काही ठिकाणी इतिहास, काही ठिकाणी संत साहित्य असं इतके व्हरायटी झाल्या त्याच्यामुळे पेपरची किंमत वाढलंच आहे. पण मेन आपला मोटो ऍटलीस्ट फाउंडेशनला ज्याच्यावर असावं त्याच्यावरती आपण लक्ष केंद्रित करत नाहीयेत सर. असं मला प्रकर्षाने जाणवलं.
करेक्ट, करेक्ट. ते फाउंडेशनचं एनिवे मी नाही शिकवत. सब्जेक्ट स्पेसिफिक IKS जो आहे कॉमर्स, इकॉनॉमिक्स, फायनान्स तो म्हणजे मी डिस्कस करायचा प्रयत्न करतो.
किंवा मग असं जर करता आलं सर सेकंड इयर, थर्ड इयर वगैरे तेव्हा तुम्ही सब्जेक्ट स्पेसिफिक जा. पण फर्स्ट इयरला जर असेल तर फर्स्ट इयरला सगळ्यांना जेव्हा IKS कॉमन ठेवतोय ना आपण, तर मग तिथे
बरोबर.
स्पेसिफिक फाउंडेशन बेसिस द्यायला काय हरकत आहे?
हो.
असं वाटलं मला म्हणजे एकंदर
आणि तो
ह्यावर्षी.
कॉमन असायला पाहिजे.
कॉमन असेल आणि
कुठल्याही
भारतभरामध्ये
फॅकल्टीचं असेल तरी ते सेमच असेल ना.
आणि भारतभरामध्ये एकच असायला पाहिजे असं वाटतं सर. जसं तुम्ही सांगितलं ना सर काही गोष्टी म्हणजे त्या बेसिकली मला वाटल्या की ह्या फाउंडेशन मध्ये असायलाच पाहिजेत म्हणून.
राईट, राईट. आम्ही
फर्स्ट
12
इयरला
वर्षापासून
थोडं लिमिट
याच्यावर काम करतो म्हणजे IIT मध्ये. तेव्हा IKS ही टर्म नव्हती पण कल्चरल फायनान्स म्हणून आम्ही याच्यावर रिसर्च करतो.
अरे वा सर किती छान. वेगळा सब्जेक्ट आहे.
हो, हो. चालेल, वी कॅन स्टार्ट. टाइम इज अप इफ पार्टिसिपेंट्स आर रेडी.
काहीतरी विचारत होतं आता. कुणाला विचारायचंय काही?
हा मॅडम मी रोल नंबर 7 दीपाली. मला ऍक्च्युली विचारायचं की सब्जेक्ट म्हणजे IKS जरा व्हास्ट आहे फर्स्ट इयरला तसं त्यांना स्पेसिफिकेशन नोट्स पण देता येत नाही आणि किती त्यांना म्हणजे काय अभ्यास करायचा किती अभ्यास करायचा त्या एखाद्या स्पेसिफिक पॉईंटचा तसंही सांगता येत नाही मुलांना.
आणि त्यामुळे मग काहीही कव्हर करतात लोक.
हा तसंही होतंय सर. व्हास्ट आहे खूप म्हणजे इतके पॉइंट्स त्याच्यामध्ये कव्हर गेलेत पण त्यातलं नेमकं काय त्यांनी अभ्यास करावा हेही सांगता येत नाही मुलांना.
सर आता सध्या काय होतंय माहितीये का युनिव्हर्सिटी निवडते IKS मध्ये काय शिकवावं किंवा ते एक कॉलेज सजेस्ट करतायत आजूबाजूचे. पण जसं मी म्हटलं तुम्हाला की जर हे भारतभरामध्ये एक असेल तर सगळ्यांना जे कॉमनली माहिती असावं ते तरी त्यांच्यापर्यंत पोहोचेल.
बरोबर. करायचं स्टार्ट आपण. एव्हरीवन इज रेडी. शॅल वी स्टार्ट?
येस सर.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we were discussing in the beginning about IKS, the need for IKS, need to research, need to discuss IKS. We started with examples like haldi or like neem. but it covers various areas, almost all subjects and knowledge areas. And it will be very good if we start doing research, start publishing more, start teaching IKS, and so on. So we discussed it for about 1 hour. Next half an hour, we have started our discussion on Indian economic and financial thought. So we have seen that initially Adam Smith started the concept of capitalism, and that is considered as beginning of economics. And the capitalist system was extremely exploitative. They have exploited colonies, they have exploited labor, they have also exploited consumers. And that led to challenge to capitalism by communism or Marxism. And Marxist ideology first seized Russia, and USSR became a communist country by 1922. And from 22 to 1990, almost 7 decades, there is a Cold War. On capitalism side, you have got US and Western Europe. Communism, you have got Russia and China and Eastern Europe. Then we have seen that, so for many years, it was suspected that Third World War will happen because of this Cold War. Some or other time, missiles from US may go to USSR or USSR to USA. So when we were kids, actually everybody was worried that at some point of time there will be a war. But no such war happened. In 89, we have just seen that this Berlin Wall collapsed, not from outside, but people of East Germany attacked that war. They killed their own soldiers and they destroyed the war and walked over to West Germany. It can be called as a small event because just happened in one city, but it spread like a wildfire from Berlin to Germany to all European countries. And within 1.5 years, the largest country in the world, which was USSR at that time, actually literally collapsed. You might have heard of word like glasnost. So who was the president of USSR at that time? Anyone remembers? So Gorbachev was there and then followed by Yeltsin, who took power, and USSR actually collapsed into 18 pieces. 17 countries got liberated from USSR within a very short period of time, and communism almost ended. Now communism is there only in China, etc. But just the red flag is there. They don't follow now communist ideology of government ownership, equality, etc. is not there at all. So this was a major shift. Now question is कि ये क्यों हुआ? What were the reasons for complete collapse of communism? Yes, yeah, you can tell now.
So I think there was a fear in the mind of owners or businessmen. If we are taking efforts, we are utilizing the all resources of our ownership, then why to share all output to others? I think.
But in communist regimes, there were no private owners. Everything was public sector undertaking. So people were happy actually because they got government jobs. People at least initially were happy. Yes, what could be the reasons for collapse of Soviet Union? Any guesses? I'm just showing which were the countries earlier communist, but I'll not tell the answer because it's pretty common sense. So one was these economies were highly inefficient. They were just producing bare minimum. So especially people in East Germany were very unhappy because their own brothers in West Germany were enjoying excellent lifestyle and East Germany had a horrible scenario. For example, earlier in Germany, there were two-lane railways, which is common now even in rural areas. One line to go, one line to come back. In West Germany, they converted into four-lane, and East Germany, they stopped and converted into one lane. So you can imagine that there was no growth, no development. All the salaries were all freezed. Though they were having government job, their salaries were freezed for several years. No salary rise. So growth of GDP was very low. Then there was lack of innovation, no entrepreneurship. This perhaps point Madam was telling me. So if somebody wants to start a new business, today there is an encouragement. In those days, there was no encouragement. In fact, there was no possibility of starting new businesses because everything was controlled by government. So there was no individual property as such. There were no incentives. And we know that government offices are extremely corrupt. So all government offices, all companies, all controlled by government. So everything was highly corrupt system. To get any small thing, you have to pay bribe and then only you can get. Like in the rationing era, lot of queues to get food, lot of queues to get bread, several years of wait just to get a two-wheeler, forget four-wheeler. So one major problem was very poor economic growth. But that is not the only problem. Other big problem is initially they said it's about Shoshan Mukti and Samanta, but actually there was a disregard of free will. So consumers had no decision-making power, no freedom, and there was no human element. Even more importantly, the culture was destroyed. So in Russia, thousands of churches were destroyed by communists. And in China, thousands of mandirs and mutts were destroyed. So there was no freedom to follow your own religion. And there were restrictions on free thought. So no freedom of expression and speech. So people were totally, they were not getting enough economic benefit, food, etc. And they were neither enjoying any freedom, which even poor country people enjoy when there is a democracy. One very big problem was within the country, their own government was suppressing their citizens. So now it is well documented that more than 10 crore people were killed in communist regime. More than 10 crore, several times more than what were killed in world wars. So especially in China and Russia, their own country government was suppressing and a lot of murders were happening every day because their own government was suppressing their people. So it was a very cruel scenario, and that is why there was no war as such. Communist people themselves threw away their governments. Now, you can understand that there is a Cold War between capitalism and communism. Communism collapsed. So capitalism became a default model. And now IMF and World Bank, they started advocating capitalism. There is a very famous book, I have mentioned it here, End of History and the Last Man, written by Francis Fukuyama. He was a Japanese turned American. So he has written that the Western model is a best form, it's a final form of human civilization. So anybody who wants to have a good life should follow Western or American model. So development of neoliberal global economy, as they called it. Now, what happened in Bharat? Anyone remembers? What system we had and what system we have now? When did we change?
Now mixed economy.
And earlier?
Capitalist. Earlier means in British era or before that?
Hey, during British time, yes, because we were actually part of Britain. So it's a colonial era. But after independence, what system we had and what was a change? Who was the leader who changed it? Anyone remembers? So we also had economic problem. In fact, we had severe shortage of foreign exchange. There was a time when petrol pumps used to stop at 5 p.m. Queues on petrol pump because we had very limited money to buy petrol. We means not individual, the whole nation. So we adopted some formula. And who was the prime minister and finance minister at that time?
Manmohan Singh.
Correct. Manmohan Singh was
Our finance minister.
finance minister and prime minister was
Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. No.
PV Narasimha.
PV Narasimha.
Very true. So in which year they changed our system?
95. And before that, in 1992,
Yes,
we
just
have
before
placed,
that, little before that.
1992, we have accepted new economic policy in which we have accepted the LPG.
Exactly. Very good answer. So we accepted what is known as LPG. Now, what is LPG?
Liberalization, privatization, globalization.
Globalization. So basically, as you can see on the slide, World Bank dictated that all countries in the world, they have to follow Western economic model. In other words, they have to follow capitalism. So our prime minister and our finance minister also had almost no choice. If you want loan, you must follow our policies. And we had to take loan because we had no money. And that was a time LPG system was introduced. That was just a name, just to make people happy. But we almost adopted a capitalist model. And earlier to that, we had more or less communist model. Not fully, it was a mixed economy, but more tilted towards communism. So you remember that we had only one Bajaj scooter. To get that itself, you have to book it for several years. To get LPG gas or to get ration, we have to wait in queues. But slightly better than communist country. But there was no development happening. Post this LPG, post this, we changed the model to LPG model. So more or less, we also adopted capitalism. And not only we, almost all countries were forced to adopt capitalism. That's why I have said that it has become a default model. Even China, North Korea adopted it. They retained their red flag, but adopted capitalist model. Now, the capitalism itself had many problems, but they were never studied because communism collapsed. it became a default model. So what happened was capitalism actually completely depended on reckless spending now. You can just see this cartoon that go into a mall without head, just go on buying and buying and buying. So capitalism was dependent now on reckless spending by consumers. So do you know what happened in America on 9/11/2001? There was a very big attack on World Trade Center, Twin Towers, as they call it. Big terrorist attack. First time America was hit by jihadi terrorism and whole America collapsed. For 15 days, they were closed. Bush was the president that time. He came forward and this is the appeal he made. I have shown here. He said that Bush urged the US public to go shopping and take vacations. Now people were shocked because he declared that this is a war on America. Now, normally in the war, leader would ask people to sacrifice, give their blood, join military, etc. But he says that you go for shopping and take vacation. Now, what is the reason?
To give the boost to the economy.
Correct. Because people had stopped shopping for 15 days, American economy had come in trouble. Their whole circulation came in trouble because now the capitalism more or less depends on consumer spending. Now, many problems of capitalism, which were there even before, have continued. Yeah. So what are the problems of capitalism as you people guess? Can anyone guess?
Dominance
Exploitation.
of private sector.
Dominance of?
Private sector.
Correct. So in fact, there is no public sector. Everything is private sector in capitalism. But उससे problem क्या होगा?
Profit motive रहेगा. No social welfare.
Correct. No social welfare and
Exploitation of consumers by charging higher prices.
exploitation of consumers. But वो इतना नहीं होगा
Monopoly.
because there are many players ना. There is a competition. I'm not saying नहीं होगा, थोड़ा बहुत होगा, but not too much of. What are other social problems?
मोनोपोली हो सकती है सर.
Some cases में हो सकती है. But only few people get jobs. They get highly paid. And most of the people don't get any jobs. I think you will observe this in India also now. There is an increasing inequality between rich and poor. Because capitalism is desired based. It is greed based. It encourages more and more consumption of any type, not consumption of good items. Any item, you have money, you can buy, but other people cannot buy. So nowadays, from water to everything we have to buy. Maybe in few years, even fresh air we may have to buy, and it will not be available to everyone. Already water is, you can see, is not so easily available. So you can just see this cartoon here that you remove your head in a shopping bag and go for shopping. The capitalism wants you to spend more. If you don't have money, still you spend. Take loan and spend. That is a fundamental of capitalism. So as I was just explaining, that there is an increased inequality. I am not going into data. I think many of you would have heard that Gini indexes are etc. quoted. You can see here big, tall, luxury apartments and lot of jhopadpattis nearby because of inequality. It is there everywhere in the world. In India also and in all parts of the world, inequality is rising This is called as a classical capitalist pyramid, where you can see rich and super rich are very happy, middle class has a problems, and poor people actually are the worst sufferers. This is not new. This is happening for 100 years, but it is now compulsory in almost all the countries. Now, the impact of this is actually, in theory, capitalism is a market economy, but because of greed of the people, it has become a market-based society and ultimately market-based family. So all social relation also become greed-driven. Like, I'll talk to someone only if I have something to gain. So if husband loses job, wife will say tata bye bye, take divorce from the husband, and would look for a person earning more money. Not just wife. Even if wife loses job, husband will do same thing. Husband takes divorce and marry another lady earning more. This is a reality in Western countries. We'll just see the data that divorce rates are very high because whole family relation is market based, not just between husband and wife. So nobody wants to take care of their parents. People even don't want to take care of their kids because of so much of selfishness. Family relations also money driven, social relations completely money driven. I'll give some data to support what I'm trying to see. You can see that the divorce rates are very high in most of the developed world. Just little more data you can see here that many of the countries have various divorce rates. And what is the divorce rate in India? Any idea? You can see many countries are listed from big to small, huh? From Russia, Georgia, China, Cuba, US, all of them have ranging from 5.32 to 2.5, vagere, vagere. These are divorce rates. Only last three countries have not written 0.2, 0.2 and 0.01. So what could be those countries? Any guesses?
इंडिया उसी में हो सकता है सर शायद.
क्योंकि यहाँ पे लिखा नहीं है. So you can see
India
Sri Lanka
में
is on number 3, Vietnam is on number 2, and India has a lowest divorce rate. Still, I know even in India, divorces are rising in last 10 years.
सर बीच में
But
मैंने एक न्यूज पढ़ा था जिसमें 67% डिवोर्स रेट मुंबई में दिखा रहे थे सर विद इन अ ईयर.
yes, so divorce
अभी वो
are
सच है
rising
आई
in
डोंट नो.
even in India, but on a whole, it is still very low. It is just 0.01. Of course, this is per 1,000 people. I'll just show you a little more data. So about 108 divorces per 1,000 people. So that rate is low. You can see more statistics also here. Now, in the developed world, you can see USA, South Korea, and UK. Divorce rates are going down because number of marriages themselves are going down. Last generation में क्या था? Marriage करके divorce लेते थे. In last 20 years, people don't want to get married at all. You can see in US, number of marriages कितने fall हो रहे हैं. US, South Korea, UK, Belgium, Argentina, all these countries now, number of marriages you can see just 4 to 6 out of 1,000 people in a year. So marriage system is itself under attack. Naturally, family system is under attack. So now what is the social impact of this family system being under attack?
Sir, they are losing security in their life. There is a decrease in happiness.
Correct. You can see here, this is a data from US, how number of marriages are dropping. Now the effect of less marriages. This is some more research paper, but I'll just keep it. This is a US data. You can see that number of children living with single parent is growing very high. It is now almost 5 to 6% of their entire population. Nearly 50% of the children now live, 50% of number of children are with single parent. And of the whole population, it is 5 or 5.5%. Because most of this is a live-in relationship and they are fatherless scenario, only mother and the child. This is the single parents in US over time. You can see how the graph is rising. This is some more information from one research paper, but I'll just, this shows that number of one person families are continuously rising in US. One person, then two person. Very few families with 3%. 4, 5, 6 is almost forgotten. So parents staying together is gone. Even husband, wife and kids staying together is very less in number. ये जो 2% वगैरह है ना, 6 with 7 persons per household, they are mostly Asians staying in US. But their local people, the family system is in big trouble. And you can see below, in India, one person household is only 4.8. 2 person is 13, 3 person is 16.8, 4 person is 23, 5 person is 17%. Because still we have comparatively stronger family system. Because that capitalism is not so deep-rooted in us. We are following capitalist system. But our culture is also equally strong. Whereas the countries which are only following capitalism and culture is weak are actually significantly suffering. Their family system is under attack. Because of that, all types of crime are increasing. Social crime, family crime, as well as financial crime. So you might be aware that, this is a data. These are the murder rates per 1,000. You can see America has the highest, 15. And Asia has the lowest, only 2.1. Actually, developed countries unnecessarily blame us that we have got a lot of crimes. Those countries have many more times crimes than what we have. Of course, any crime is unacceptable, but relatively it is less. We can also see prison population per 1 lakh. The darker countries have more prison population. So it is highest in US, followed by Russia. High in China and very low in India. You can also see rape rate. So in Bharatiya culture, even one rape is unacceptable. So even one rape becomes a big news. Our rape rate is 1.81 per 1 lakh population. But you can see various other countries. In US, it is 27. In many European countries, it is above 50 per 1 lakh population. Any darker country is more. Australia, you can see 28.6. So because family system is in trouble, crime rates are very high. All types of crime, social crime, even financial crime. Then mental disorders are very high. Anxiety, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, all of these are very high. Nearly 50% of their population in US, it is actually 75%, is affected by one or other mental disorders. Generally क्या होता है, developed countries बोलते हैं कि आपके यहाँ report नहीं होता है. Even if it is slightly less reported, our percentage is only 1/5. Whereas both crime and mental disorders are very high. So we can see that, yeah, this is one more data. This is health expenditure. You can see very high health expenditure in the developed world. But when Corona hit, actually those were the countries which had maximum deaths. Because public health is not good, only health expenditure is high. This is a data of WHO on health expenditure, but I will not go into too many details. So basically, I am trying to say that human society is not very happy. It's very rich, huh? Per capita income is very high, but they are having many social problems. And one more impact of greed is the high ecological footprint. Now, what is meant by ecological footprint? Anyone can tell? What is the ecological footprint?
Is it related to nature, sir?
Correct.
Means,
Have you heard of carbon footprint? This is
yes,
almost
I
same.
have
So what is carbon footprint?
carbon footprint. Means the pollution per
Pollution
person
and
and
level of carbon consumption. Whenever as human beings we survive, we emit carbon dioxide and earth absorbs our carbon dioxide. So how many times we are emitting upon what earth can absorb? So ideally it should be one or less than one, then only it is sustainable. But if we consume more carbon, may not just by our exhalation, by fuel, by AC, by refrigerators, etc., we consume so much carbon. When I say we, as a human beings, which our nature cannot absorb. So level of carbon dioxide is continuously rising. We know that we are experiencing more and more heat every year because of excessive carbon dioxide. So you can just see this data. All the developed countries are actually having very high carbon footprint. The darker the country is, a higher carbon footprint. Again, they blame it on us, but they consume 4 to 5 times more carbon than what we consume. Even for us, the consumption is rising because we are also adopting modern lifestyle. This data is, I think, easier to understand. You can see consumption of earth resources. In US, it is as high as almost 5 times what earth can absorb. In UK, it is 2.5. China, it is almost 2. How much it will be for India? A small country like Niger also has it equal to 1. But in Bharat, it is only 0.67. Because still to a great extent, we adopt our culture. For example, our dietary habits. If we consume more animal food, it requires much more land and much more emission of carbon dioxide. So our lifestyle is far more green than Western lifestyles. Though we have same economic system now, we continue to have our lifestyle, which is more sustainable. So that is why now sustainability has become a very important discussion, especially in the Western world, because if they continue their lifestyle, then the whole earth cannot survive. In fact, if we copy their lifestyle, then also earth won't survive. Now, all this has an impact on saving rates. So anyone can guess what are the saving rates, say in US and in India? Personal saving rates. At least in India, what is the saving rate? Anyone wants to take a guess?
इंडिया में ज्यादा होंगे सर उनसे कंपेयर टू, ऐसे लग रहा है. नॉट एग्जैक्टली नंबर पता नहीं, लेकिन ज्यादा ही होगा।
अप्रोक्सीमेटली कितना है भारत का सेविंग रेट? It is nearly 27%. And in US, what is the saving rate? Any guesses? बहुत कम है, just 3 to 4%. They have very high per capita income, huh? But high per capita income does not mean more saving, because the lifestyle is to spend more. So I just showed this comparison so that you understand that by following our culture, our system is westernized, but individual people still follow our culture. Our economy has some unique features. Later on, I'll show you that this is not just theory, Indian economic thought. It is also practiced by us to some extent, not fully, but to some extent. Some more data on US debt, but I'll just skip it. But just remember that these countries are highly indebted. And you can just see this data. This is a government debt. Just have a look. That both UK and US have more than 100% government debt. More than 100% of their GDP, and Indian debt is much lower. And even their household debt is very high. Almost 80% of their GDP. So they have high income, but they spend so high that they are having much more debt as well. Yeah, any questions, comments now? Now we have discussed, I think, enough about Western models. So last half an hour, we'll talk about Indian model. So Western model, just to brief recap, is communism collapsed because no growth, there was suppression of freedom. Now capitalism has high growth, rich people, lot of freedom, but still human society is not very happy because more crime, family system is under trouble, saving rates are low, they spend a lot. So Bharat and much more pollution and much more carbon utilization. So now question is whether there is any alternative to it. So if we study our Bharatiya system, it does follow an alternative. Before actually going to Bharatiya system, let us have a look at our history. So if we study the economic history for last 2000 years, now this is what is published by OECD countries. So do you know what is OECD? This is an organization for economically developed countries. So under the guidance and leadership of famous economist Angus Madison, they instituted a study for last 2000 years of world economy. And this is the data. So I think you can very clearly see that in 00, Bharat had nearly 33% share of world GDP. By 1000, we had almost 29% share. After that, we were attacked by Arabs, Afghans, Mughals, and our share slowly went down. Still, it was 24.4% in 17th century. But during British rule, it just came down to 4%. So Bharat was never even knew poverty, but during British time we became poor. That has nothing to do with our culture. When we were on our own, we were the richest country in the world and most economically as well as industrially developed. Not just agriculture. People say that India is a country of villages, etc. Was not true. We had big cities, even in those times. We had a lot of industry. We were the world leaders in exports. That is why we were getting a lot of payments in the form of gold. Because unless you export gold, it won't come to you. So we were leaders both in agriculture and in industry and also in trade. You can see other countries, Western Europe basically increased after 1820 when they captured colonies. And US has grown more in the First and Second World War. Yeah, any questions, comments on this?
सर हमारा सेविंग रेट ज्यादा होने का एक रीजन फैमिली सिस्टम है, ऐसा मुझे लगता है।
Correct. Our family system is pretty strong.
हाँ, और ये जीडीपी का जो है सर 32.9% इन जीरो, मतलब हाउ इट इज कैलकुलेटेड और मेजर्ड सर?
Zero means in the beginning of Christian era. That is why it is zero. Year zero. And by year 1000, it is 28.9. It is measured mainly on our population and our lifestyle at that time. But they have assumed same lifestyle. Actually, our lifestyle was better. But with same lifestyle assumption, they got this GDP.
Industrial revolution, one of the reason of decreasing our GDP.
Yes, but it got financed by our capital, not other way around. First, they captured India and then they got industrial revolution. Not that they first got industrial revolution, then they captured India. This is in graphical form. So you can see that India is not a story from rags to riches. We were always economic empire. We are trying to re-establish ourselves. And Western world always depends on cash flows from outside. Earlier from colonialism, then from sale of arms, and more recently by way of loans. But they are continuously needing money from outside to maintain their lifestyle. Fine. So these are some more quotations, but I'll now go to Indian economic thinking. Now this, in just one slide, I've tried to summarize it. So Western is more materialistic versus ours is holistic. Western is comfort, ours is bliss driven. Western one is individualistic, ours is collective. Competition versus cooperation, and centralized versus decentralized. For competition versus cooperation, on a lighter note, I think many of you would have seen Three Idiots. So have you seen the movie? In the beginning only there is one scene. Anyone remembers what was that scene? So some professor is telling something to their students. कुछ याद है? And what is that professor telling?
Background wise, one of the three friends that telling
Sorry,
about
bit louder, ma'am. I couldn't get you.
one of the three friends of that institute that picturized in the film. One 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 friend is telling about that what happened during their graduations and study days.
Okay, that is, I think, later on scene. But this is the first scene. Who is the name of the professor?
सहस्त्रबुद्धे, विनु सहस्त्रबुद्धे।
वीरू सहस्त्रबुद्धे, जिनको लोग प्यार से वायरस बोलते थे।
हाँ,
तो वायरस इज टेलिंग समथिंग टू द स्टूडेंट, दैट आई एम आस्किंग। और वो कुछ फेंकते हैं, किसको याद है? वो एक घोंसला लाते हैं, नेस्ट, और
हाँ,
उसमें से एक अंडा फेंकते हैं।
हाँ,
एंड व्हाट इज ही टेलिंग?
It
अगर
means
अपने
yes,
कंपटीशन,
हाँ, बोलिए बोलिए, ट्राई करिए।
मतलब if you are not sustainable in the competition, then you can't win, you will not achieve anything, ऐसा कुछ टाइप का डायलॉग था सर।
करेक्ट। तो वो बोलते हैं कि लाइफ इज अ रेस, if you have to kill, if you have to win, you have to kill others. सो कौवे का घोंसले में कोयल अंडा डालती है, और कोयल का बच्चा जैसे बाहर आता है, सबसे पहले वो कौवे को अंडे को बाहर फेंक देता है। सो टू सक्सीड इन लाइफ, यू हैव टू किल अदर्स। Though it's an Indian movie, actually that's a Western ideology of competition. All top companies वही करते हैं. They kill small players, make monopoly, and then make profits. That is the ideology. Now I know everybody in the Western world don't follow it, but original idea of competition वो है, survival of the fittest is a rule. That be fit and you survive and you kill everyone else. Whereas Indian understanding is cooperation, कि सबको साथ लेके चलो। उसके लिए भी एक दूसरा इंटरेस्टिंग वीडियो आता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज उबंटू। तो किसको पता है उबंटू क्या होता है? उबंटू में ऐसा किया जाता है कि
वो
एक
साथ
वेस्टर्न
लेके
सोशियोलॉजिस्ट ने ही बनाया है कि एक छोटे से गांव में बच्चों को बोलते हैं कि वी विल गिव यू एक टोकरी ऑफ फ्रूट्स, हम लोग 1 2 3 बोलेंगे, देन यू रन। सो वो बोलते हैं कि अभी रेस शुरू होने वाला है, 1 2 3, अज्यूमिंग दैट चिल्ड्रन विल रन, बट एक्चुअली बच्चे एक दूसरे की तरफ देखते हैं, सबका हाथ पकड़ के एक साथ भागते हैं। तो ये वेस्टर्न साइकोलॉजी शॉक हो गया है, क्योंकि कंपटीशन के एग्जैक्ट खिलाफ है ना। फिर वो बच्चों को पूछते हैं कि स्पेशली जो तगड़े बच्चे थे, थोड़े बड़े थे, कि आप लोग क्यों नहीं भागे, बिकॉज यू वुड हैव वन दैट होल ऑफ फ्रूट्स। तो उन्होंने क्या बोला कि हाउ विल वी एंजॉय विदाउट अवर फ्रेंड्स? दैट इज अ सेंस ऑफ कोऑपरेशन, दैट यू हैव टू थिंक ऑफ एवरीवन अराउंड। ऐसे ही और पॉइंट्स है दैट आवर्स इज more collective thinking. Western one is a individualistic thinking, centralized versus decentralized, and so on. Fine. Yeah. Any questions on this? We will move to our last slide. If you have no further questions.
सर जैसे आपने कहा कि हमारे कल्चर में कोऑपरेशन है या कलेक्टिव थिंकिंग है, लेकिन वेन एवर वी सी आवर हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स वी प्लेस एट 125th नंबर. So I know they are calculating on the basis of GDP and our population is responsible for that. But furthermore, how can we achieve the happiness for whole country? उनका मेजरमेंट प्रॉब्लमेटिक है, ऐसे आपको लगता है क्या सर?
Just one second. मैं शेयर कर रहा हूँ। नहीं, आप जो बोल रहे हैं ना, कि they are based on GDP is not true. GDP तो एक है ही. This happiness index इसी के लिए बनाया कि apart from GDP other things should be measured. But actually most of the indices are all manipulated. वो एक ही जगह पे 1000 लोगों को पूछते हैं and they decided for 140 crore population. That is why countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh have more happiness than us.
That's why I am asking, sir.
Not only India and Pakistan, there are small countries in Africa which are deep in trouble and day to day they have high crimes. Still, they are supposed to be more happy. इसके लिए I think those indices we don't have to take them seriously. We have to increase our happiness by following our culture. No need to worry about those so-called indices. ठीक है. These are points in short. I'll now go slightly more in detail. इसमें आप देख सकते हैं कि these are more detailed points. You can ask me anything or I'll try to explain one or two. जैसे भारतीय चिंतन में ह्यूमन बीइंग होलिस्टिकली सोचा जाता है, a physical, mental, intellectual and a spiritual being. Western, it's a man. Man is considered merely as a material being, only for money earning. Society is considered as a club of selfish people, everyone acting for self. Whereas in Bharat, society is at a center. We are like limbs of the society. जैसे हमारे बॉडी में सेल्स होते हैं, body takes care of the cells, but each cell works as per the well-being of the body, not in a selfish manner. सेल ने अगर सेल्फिश काम किया तो हमें पता है उसको ही कैंसर बोलते हैं, because those cells will go on increasing. तो भारतीय चिंतन में relation between society and individual is like the body and the limbs. हम लोग अवयव है बड़े, either society ऐसा माना जाता है. So then that is right oriented, ours is a duty oriented. For example, हमारे यहाँ बोला जाता है पुत्र या पुत्री धर्म है कि we should take care of our parents. वो धर्म है, वो ड्यूटी है. Whereas in Western system they say this is a right of the parents that they should be taken care of. But अगर उनके बच्चों ने केयर नहीं लिया तो क्या करेंगे? Then government has to set up old age homes or government has to set up orphanages. Whereas हमारे यहाँ बोला जाता है कि हर एक व्यक्ति का दायित्व है कि they should take care of the children. So it's a duty based society. Right based में क्या होता है? Initially अच्छा लगता है कि children have right, parents have right, etc. But society, family doesn't take care of those rights then all burden falls on government. That is why their government expenditures are very high. Whole society or government becomes in debt, and more importantly, society doesn't remain happy. Because छोटा बच्चा उसके माँ के साथ ही happy रहेगा ना, not in the orphanage. Yeah, parents would be happy with the family, not in the old age homes. Because there, that is a government system. That is why duty, of course, duty and right both are required, but ours is mainly oriented towards duty. Last point you can say, it says comfort for oneself is the objective. Whereas in our system, it is bliss for everyone. So only comfort nahi, comfort required hai. But happiness is comfort plus peace, not just comforts. और बहुत सारे point है, we have already seen that artha plus kama driven है, whereas ours is artha kama but plus dharma and moksha. Fine, we'll go. If no questions are there, we'll go ahead. So we know that initially Western system was only economic. Then they also understood कि enough नहीं है, so they added society and environment. तभी वो sustainable होगा. and our thought process is already inclusive of everything. ये क्या है? Anyone can tell what is this?
सर ये वारली पेंटिंग है।
वारली पेंटिंग है या हाँ, बट व्हाट इज वारली पेंटिंग? सो ट्रेडिशनल डांस फॉर्म है, वारली करके फेमस है, बट नॉट ओनली वारली, इन ऑल पार्ट्स ऑफ भारत ये डांस फॉर्म फेमस है. दिस शोज द इंटीग्रल अप्रोच. सो दिस इज अ डेवलपमेंट ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस. जीरो जो है सेंटर में, दैट इज इंडिविजुअल, एंड वी हैव द कैपेसिटी टू एक्सपांड अवर कॉन्शियसनेस. देखो कॉन्सेंट्रिक सर्कल्स नहीं है, एक्सपांड होता है. फ्रॉम इंडिविजुअल इट कैन ग्रो टू फैमिली, to society, to nation, to nature and so on. For example, normally हमें भूख लगी है तो we are individuals, but otherwise we think of family. So we ourselves think of family. भारत पाकिस्तान मैच हो जाता है तो सब लोग they think of nation. For 1 hour everybody is at a nation level. Sometimes we feel oneness with nature. और हमारे कल्चर को ये पता है कि ऑल द टाइम हमारा वो लेवल नहीं रहेगा. We will again come down, but we have a capacity to go up also. We don't believe कि हम हमेशा selfish individuals हैं. Of course हम selfish individuals हैं, but कई बार हम लोग family, कई बार society, कई बार nation, ऐसे लेवल पे we do go. And जो ऋषि मुनि, जो लोग हायर लेवल पे पहुंचे हैं, they go right up to परमेष्टि when they achieve मुक्ति. तो ऑब्जेक्टिव वो है, and that is why it is a spiral, going spiral. और अगर आपको पता होगा कि गैलेक्सी जो होती है हमारी आकाश गंगा, वो भी इसी फॉर्म में है. Exactly, it's a spiral where there are stars in that. So this is a natural form, and that consciousness can grow. This is a core, मुझे पता है बहुत ज्यादा philosophical है, but our economic thinking is based on this integral approach. Now I'll run fast because we have limited time, some 15 minutes. कि मैंने कुछ पॉइंट्स बताए, उसका बेसिस क्या है? So it has a scriptural basis. जैसे हमारे ऋग्वेद में श्री सूक्त है. So from that time we revere wealth. So दो ही श्लोक वहां पे बताया है, लक्ष्मी अनपगामिनी. So we want समृद्धि, we want लक्ष्मी देवी, but अनपगामिनी. So we don't want it from unethical way. या दूसरे में बोला है मानस मनस काममा कुतिम वाच सत्यमशीमहि. काममा कुति मीन्स फुलफिलमेंट ऑफ डिजायर. मन में जो विचार आते हैं, we want them to be fulfilled, but on a path of satya, on a path of truth. ईशोपनिषद एक है जिसमें ये बोला गया है कि तेन, दूसरा लाइन पढ़ रहा हूं, तेन त्यक्तेन भुंजीता माँ ग्रुद कस्य स्विद्धनम. मीन्स आप भोग लीजिए लेकिन त्याग करके भोग लीजिए. वन शुड एंजॉय बाय रिनाउंसिंग एंड डोंट लस्ट फॉर अदर पीपल्स पोजीशन. ग्रुद मीन्स चोरी करना, कस्य स्विद मीन्स दूसरे किसी का. सो डोंट टेक मनी ऑफ अदर्स. ऐसे इकोनॉमिक थिंकिंग इज इम्बाइब्ड in our spiritual texts. It's not separately given. This we have already seen, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. ये एक इंटरेस्टिंग है कि भागवत महापुराण, बहुत जगह पे भागवत सप्ताह वगैरह होता है, उसमें ऐसा बोला है कि शुभ लाभ कब है? If out of our income 20% should be given back to charity, thermo oriented needs. Remaining 40% is for contingency and flourishment of business. So we have to invest it in the long term, and only remaining 40% we should use it for family and our own self. So income का 40% ही spend करना चाहिए. 40% should be preserved or saved. So if you remember, अभी हमने discuss किया था that India actually has a saving rate of 27%. Ideally तो 40 होना चाहिए, और जापान में 40 है. We are greatly westernized, but they largely follow our culture, and that's our culture and their culture is almost same. So जो स्क्रिप्चर्स में, ग्रंथों में लिखा है वो सिर्फ वही पढ़ा है ऐसा नहीं है. to some extent we do follow. We have already discussed this Karma Yoga, so I'll just skip it. हमारे यहाँ सोशल इनिशिएटिव्स बहुत होते हैं, artisan guild, cooperation, etc. Because that's the nature of our society from ancient times. Then moral values like ethics, honesty were given very high level in our ancient scriptures. आजकल हम लोग कितना है is a question mark. But nowadays, whole world is moving, they call it higher purpose objectives, which were part of our cultural objectives. श्रुति और स्मृति के बारे में लिखा है. So we had a very for long time, we have a good financial system where own fund plus borrowed funds. Whereas in other parts of the world, जैसे जुदाइज्म, क्रिश्चियनिटी, इस्लाम, इस सभी में इंटरेस्ट को बैन किया है या उसको अवॉइड करने को बोला है. बट इन भारत वी हैड अ वेल डेवलप्ड banking and financial system and even financial instruments like hundi. थोड़ा सा अभी थॉट्स एंड थिंकर्स की तरफ जाते हैं. So can you name some Indian economic thinkers? Either ancient or modern.
चाणक्य.
चाणक्य, अमर्त्य सेन.
Very good. चाणक्य बहुत फेमस हो गए हैं because now अर्थशास्त्र is, I mean many people at least talk. इसके अलावा
डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर सर, डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर,
वेरी
दादा भाई
इंपॉर्टेंट.
नौरोजी,
अम्बेडकर जी का और दादा भाई नौरोजी.
अमर्त्य सेन.
अमर्त्य सेन is too recent, so I have not covered. But yeah, anyone else?
कौटिल्य.
और कोई है? कौटिल्य. कौटिल्य एंड चाणक्य सेम.
ओके ओके.
टाइम कम है, मैं थोड़ा आगे जाता हूँ. ऋषि मनु जो है, जिन्होंने मनुस्मृति लिखी, he has written in detail about business and economic laws. Remember thousands of years ago, like regulation of interest rates, like pledge कब लेते हैं, how do you take control of the pledge, debt disputes कैसे resolve करें, बहुत कुछ है. But I'm just going ahead. Even fixation of wages. So he can be considered as an economic thinker. एंड लेटर पीरियड में और बहुत सारे स्मृतिज लिखे गए, जैसे याज्ञवल्क्य स्मृति वगैरह, जिसके अपडेटेड वर्जन्स है, उसमें भी बिजनेस एंड इकोनॉमिक लॉज आर देयर. नेक्स्ट इज शुक्र नीति. शुक्राचार्य कौन थे?
दैत्य गुरु.
हाँ, राक्षस.
सो दैत्य मीन्स मटेरियलिस्टिक पीपल, जो हु आर बिहाइंड मनी. हम सभी लोग उसमें आ सकते हैं आजकल. सो शुक्राचार्य जी ने शुक्र नीति लिखी थी, विच इज अनफॉर्चुनेटली लॉस्ट. बट शुक्र नीति सार करके एक टेक्स्ट अवेलेबल है, जिसमें उसकी समरी है, और उन्होंने भी बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स लिखे हैं, जैसे मिनिस्टर्स को कैसे अपॉइंट करें, रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट कितना होना चाहिए, बफर स्टॉक मेंटेन करना चाहिए, पब्लिक गुड्स क्रिएट करने चाहिए. सो बहुत सारा उपदेश उन्होंने दैत्य राजाओं को किया है, जो आज के गवर्नमेंट के लिए बहुत रिलेवेंट है. उसमें इतने सारे सेक्शंस हैं. हाँ, अभी आई एम जस्ट गोइंग अहेड. प्राइस, मार्केट्स, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स एंड सो ऑन. चाणक्य आजकल बहुत लोगों को पता है, उन्होंने अर्थशास्त्र लिखा, चाणक्य नीति लिखी, जिसमें बोला गया है कि धर्मस्य मूलम अर्थः. सो अर्थ को काफी महत्व दिया है. These are some books, I mean papers on Chanakya. So he has talked about import, exports, direct taxes, indirect taxes, and so on, even control of wages, productivity wage, and so on. So he was a thinker. He has even written about accounting, audit, welfare state. बाद में भगवान बुद्ध, उन्होंने स्पेसिफिक इकोनॉमिक्स वर्ड नहीं यूज किया है, बट ही हैज लेड डाउन सर्टेन प्रिंसिपल, जिसके बेसिस पे बुद्धिस्ट इकोनॉमिक्स इज टुडे सम पीपल हैव डेवलप्ड. so that giving up selfishness or acquisitiveness and well-being of the society. Then there is also Jain economics. We know that Jain is on the basis of ahimsa and giving back to society. तो उसके basis पे Jain economics is also there. Have you heard of Thiruvalluvar? So he was from Tamil Nadu. उन्होंने भी बहुत अच्छे इकोनॉमिक थॉट्स, एक सेपरेट बुक है, बुक ऑफ पुरुल नाम का, जो तमिल में लिखा है। ऐसे भारत के हर भाग में है। आई जस्ट मेंशन द प्रोमिनेंट वन। संत कबीर दास ने भी कुछ लिखा है, पूरा बुक नहीं है, उनके दोहों में कुछ आता है ऑन इकोनॉमिक थॉट्स। संत ज्ञानेश्वर जो ज्ञानेश्वरी लिखी है, उसमें भी कई सारे मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स हैव बीन लेड डाउन। आई हैव मेंशन द रिलेवेंट ओवीज, बट आई एम जस्ट स्किपिंग इट। बाद में आते हैं संत तुकाराम। उन्होंने एक ही लाइन में, आई थिंक दिस इज अ समरी ऑफ इंडियन इकोनॉमिक थॉट, विच से जोडोनिया धन उत्तम व्यवहारे उदास विचारे वेच करे। सो इट डजंट से कि धन मत जमा करो, यू शुड accumulate wealth, जोडोनिया धन, but through ethical means, म्हणून उत्तम व्यवहार आहे. But when comes to spending, उदास विचारे वेच करी. So don't spend unnecessarily. Spend only as much as needed, so that you can save or give back to the society. Actually आगे का संपूर्ण अर्थ बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है। जैसे उन्होंने महिलाओं का आदर, भूत दया, शांति, इसी अभंग में अच्छा लिखा है। बट आई एम जस्ट गोइंग अहेड नाउ। मॉडर्न पीरियड के ये थिंकर्स हैं, उनको भी 1-2 मिनट में हम डिस्कस करते हैं। दादा भाई नौरोजी ने क्या लिखा था, कोई बता सकता है? अभी नाम बताया था आपने। उन्होंने एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बुक लिखा है, ट्रेन ऑफ वेल्थ, कि ब्रिटिश कैसा भारत से वेल्थ लेके जा रहे हैं। सो वहां पे हम लोग एंगस मेडिसिन में देखते हैं कि इंडिया जीडीपी हैज कम डाउन। दैट इज बिकॉज ब्रिटिश आर टेकिंग वेल्थ। उन्होंने अच्छा बाय गिविंग टेबल हाउ इंडिया इज बीइंग एक्सप्लॉइटेड इन द ब्रिटिश रूल, बोथ इकोनॉमिकली एज वेल एज मॉरली, हैज बीन वेल लेट डाउन। स्वामी विवेकानंद जी का नाम आप जानते होंगे। वो जब अमेरिका गए थे, उन्होंने भी यूज ऑफ सिल्वर इन इंडिया इस नाम का एक एसे प्रेजेंट किया था। नॉर्मली ही इज ओनली नोन एज योगी, बट ही हैज आल्सो लेट डाउन द इंडियन इकोनॉमिक प्रिंसिपल्स टू अमेरिकन ऑडियंस इन वन ऑफ हिज एसे। लोकमान्य तिलक जी आप जानते हैं, उन्होंने स्वराज बट थ्रू स्वदेशी अर्थव्यवस्था, एंड ऑल्सो ही क्रिएटेड पैसा फंड, जैसे क्राउड फंडिंग हम आज बोल सकते हैं, टू प्रमोट इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन इन दोज डेज। महात्मा गांधी जी ने भी सिंपल लिविंग और स्वदेशी पे एम्फसाइज किया है। डॉक्टर अंबेडकर, किसी ने बहुत अच्छा उत्तर दिया था। उनका बहुत वर्क्स है, बट मैं 2 ही बताता हूं। उनका सबसे पहला जो थीसिस है, दैट इज एंशिएंट इंडियन कॉमर्स, which he presented to Columbia University in 1915, जिसमें भारत का एंशिएंट कॉमर्स कैसा था। वहां हम देखते हैं ना, जीडीपी शेयर इज हाई, सो वी हैव गॉट गुड मैरीटाइम ट्रेड, गुड रोड्स, गुड इंडस्ट्रीज, गुड एग्रीकल्चर। ऑल दिस हैज बीन वेल डॉक्यूमेंटेड देयर। और एकदम उनका लास्ट जो है वो बताता हूं, मार्क्स, बुद्धा एंड मार्क्स, ये ऐसे उन्होंने 1956 में प्रेजेंट किया, जिसमें वो बोलते हैं कि एट दैट टाइम, रिमेंबर, सोवियत यूनियन वाज हाईली सक्सेसफुल। सो ही सेज दैट इवन इफ सोवियत यूनियन इज हाईली सक्सेसफुल, इट इज नथिंग बेटर देन फैटनिंग ऑफ पिग्स। बहुत हार्श वर्ड्स यूज किए हैं, बिकॉज ओनली मटेरियल वेल बीइंग विदाउट धर्म is of no use for human happiness. That's why don't follow Marx, follow the path of Buddha, follow the Dhamma of Buddha. That was the summary. बाद में ये कौन है? Anyone knows? दीनदयाल उपाध्याय जी ने इंटीग्रल ह्यूमैनिज्म और अंत्योदय के कंसेप्ट प्रेजेंट किए हैं, और आज जो गवर्नमेंट इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज ला रहा है जैसे डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर वगैरह, that is mainly on integral humanism and Antyodaya. So he advised people and government that don't copy Western models, develop our own systems. ये ऑलरेडी हमने डिस्कस किया है। दत्तोपंत ठेंगड़ी जी ने एक बहुत अच्छा पुस्तक लिखा, that is called as the third way. So it says again same thing जो हमने बोला था कि don't follow capitalism or communism. Our भारतीय चिंतन is the third way, which will bring in prosperity, but to the whole society, not only to few people. एक summary है of all the Indian thinkers. So it's at 6 o'clock, so we will almost stop, but I'll take another 2-3 minutes. हमने बहुत सारी theory देखी, but don't assume it is just in theory. There are many business and socially also we follow many of these concepts. उसमें से 2-3 हमने already देखे। आपको याद होगा कि our saving rates are high because of our family system. We have a strong concept of family business. Then now government is promoting MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises, because we have a decentralized system as per our theory. In reality also, 60 to 70% of our GDP share comes from MSME, and nearly 80% of employment is given by MSME, not by big companies, because we have a decentralized system and ours is a self-employment oriented system. So almost 70% of Indians are self-employed. In developed countries, that is only 20 to 30%. In other countries also, it's at max 30%. But we have much higher share because ours is a self-employment driven system as per our economy. मुझे पता है कि हमारे सारे स्टूडेंट्स जॉब के पीछे भागते हैं, हम लोग भी भागते हैं, because educated people are behind jobs. But if you see around, most of the population is self-employed. So that is derived from our culture. So ऐसे बहुत सारे points हैं कि this is not just in theory, it's also practiced by us, and that is giving us prosperity. One more point, we have the maximum, we are the leaders in foreign remittances. We almost get $125 billion of foreign remittance, maximum in the world. Next is China with only 80 billion. Again, because अपनी family system strong है, and Indians working abroad do save, they send back money for their families. That strengthens our economy. So our culture helps in strengthening our economy. And इतने वर्षों से ये इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी में कहीं भी फॉलो नहीं हुआ. We were only following Western economy. But in last 10 years, slowly कुछ Indian concepts आए हैं, जिससे अंत्योदय है, self direct benefit transfer है, या planning commission was done away with because that was a centralized system. It was a communist system. Now we have got Niti Aayog. So धीरे धीरे many of these concepts government is introducing. That is why again coming back, it will be great if we study this IKS. एक तो क्योंकि it has a lot of scope for publication and government is introducing it. A lot of projects also government is doing. In IIT also we are running a course on this for our PhD, our MBA students. But if any one of you is interested, you can also attend it. It will be in the month of March and April, but it's in the physical form. So you have to be in IIT to attend it. With this, it's almost done, but any questions from anyone?
Sir, if possible,
any
you can
points?
take that course on online mode in the afternoon or evening session.
I'll just check because it is offered in a regular form, but I'll try to offer it in through NPTEL. I do have some courses, online courses, so I'll try to offer it. Yeah.
Thank you,
Any
sir.
other questions, comments? Fine. So we can stop here. Thanks for your
Somebody
participation.
was talking, sir. Just wait. आपको कुछ क्वेश्चन है सर? 84 नंबर. आवाज नहीं येते.
नाही मॅडम. वोट ऑफ थँक्स साठी मी फक्त विचार. Okay. Good afternoon, all of you. It is with immense gratitude and heart brimming with appreciations of that I Assistant Professor Atul Saibra Patil, SSM College, Pasora, affiliated to Kavitri Bainabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, stands before you today to deliver this vote of thanks for 14th FIP for these sessions. First and foremost, I extend my deepest thanks to our esteemed special guest, Dr. Varadraj Baapat, professor from IIT Mumbai, for taking the time out of their busy schedules to grace this occasion with their presence and wisdom. Your insights have truly enriched our experience, sir. I would also like to express heartfelt thanks to our respected host of 14th FIP from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, and UGC Malviya Missions Teachers Training Programs for their tireless efforts in matriculations planning and organizing these events. Your vision and dedications have been cornerstones of their gathering success. This gathering success. I am grateful to our supporting staff, Dr. Rafe, Srimati Archana Elikar, Mr. Amol Madan, Mr. Gaurav Jadhav, and Dr. Seema Dagi Madams. Your hands from behind the scenes has been crucial in ensuring everything ran smoothly. Our enthusiasms and commitment do not go unnoticed and are deeply appreciated. Last but certainly not least, a big thanks you to our wonderful audience. Your active participation and engaging questions have made this event truly interactive and dynamic. In conclusion, let us carry forward the knowledge and inspirations we have gained today and continue to support and uplift each other to our endeavors. Thanks once again, and I hope to see you all at our future events. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very
Dhanyavad.
much.
I have shared my email ID. Those who are interested, please be in touch. I can also share this PPT if you are keen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We are very much interested in your PPT. It was very good, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
सर और एक क्वेश्चन मतलब ऐसे हुआ कि IKS क्यों इसका आंसर मिला सर हमें आज एग्जैक्ट.
Okay, great.
थैंक यू सर. पाटिल सर थैंक यू.
Ma'am, can we leave now?
Yes, sir, you can.
Okay.